Hello and welcome to the GDQ Hot Fix on this fine Friday evening. Welcome to the second episode of Challenger Approaching. Just a few quick GDQ related announcements. First of all, if you are watching on YouTube and would like to support our live content, please consider checking out our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/GDQ. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, did you know you can subscribe to any Twitch channel of your choice every month for free? It's true. Please consider using your Prime gaming account to support the weekly GDQ Hotfix content. It's stuff like that that allows us to keep making cool shows for all of you, so please consider it. AGDQ 2021 Online is coming up in just a few days, everybody. From January 3rd at noon Eastern, we'll be having a week-long marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. That's in just a few days. We're also taking a break from content tomorrow so we can prepare for AGDQ 2021 Online, but we'll be back on January 11th with more Hotfix content. If you're interested in learning about all of our weekly Hotfix shows, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to find out more. And with that, I would like to say welcome to Danny B to the second episode of Challenger Approaching. We will be featuring Ocarina of Time, Glitchless Low Percent. So, we'll get more into it as the run goes on. But Danny, what's the elevator pitch for this challenge run?
So the elevator pitch is just something brand new. Glitchless Low Percent is not something that anybody has run in this game in a very, very long time, so I'm excited to show it off. I've only done one practice run, but it's similar enough to Glitchless, which is my main deal in this game, that everything should go smoothly.
Excellent. And, you sort of stick to Glitchless largely as an Ocarina of Time speedrunner. So my question is, what is alluring to you about Glitchless specifically?
Yeah, so I started with Glitchless. My initial thought process was, well, I'm a beginner. The glitches kind of look hard, so let me start here. And then there just ended up being so much depth to this category. The concept of micro-optimizing over the course of hours and hours is really cool to me, because when you have such a limited tool set, this game has so many tools that you can use to go fast. But when you ban most of them, all of a sudden you are forced to do things in a very different way. And so it's just really interesting to me to see how far we can push the game without using all of the glitches.
For sure. Well, I think we might as well go ahead and get started. So when you're ready, if you want to do a countdown for us,
sure,
and we'll get the run going, and we'll give you time there to explain what the heck all of these words mean. Glitchless,
yes.
Low percent. What do these words mean?
All right. Let's make a new file real quick. What should the file name be? Should be GDQ.
What's the hotfix? What's their mascot? What's the mascot name? There's a name. I know there's a name for the GDQ mascot.
Uh-oh. I don't know it.
Yeah, Velocity. That's what it was.
Is that 8 characters? It is. Perfect. Look at that.
It's perfect.
All right. Are we ready?
I think so.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. So we're going to start off with explaining what this is. So most of you guys are familiar with speedrunning. You'll be familiar with terms like any percent and 100%, which kind of just tell you how much of the game you're going to complete in your speedrun. So with 100%, you got to complete everything. With any percent, it doesn't matter how much you complete. You just get to the end of the game, and however much ends up being completed at that point is fine. Low percent is a little bit different. You might think that in any percent runs, you're trying to complete as little of the game as possible. But really what you're trying to do in any percent runs is to complete however much of the game as possible to get you to the end as fast as possible. But with low percent, we're actually trying to minimize how much of the game we complete, regardless of how long that takes. So game completion, the amount of completion, is in this game determined by how many items we get. So anything that will permanently affect our pause menus, so like items, bottles, trade items, equipment like shields, swords, tunics, boots, any capacity upgrades like bomb bags and things, any songs, any medallions, anything like that. Anything that you can see on the pause menu, as well as anything you can see on the heads-up display, so like hearts and magic, all that counts. So we are going to try to minimize how much of that we collect over the course of the run. And the way that leaderboards for this kind of thing work is that if you finish the game in, let's say, 20 items, and it takes you 100 hours, and I finish the game in 21 items, but it takes me 5 minutes, you still win because you finished it in fewer items than me. So completing it in fewer items is the main priority. So we're actually going to be skipping only 5 types of things over regular glitchless any percent in this run. And those are Heart Containers, the Hylian Shield, Pharaoh's Wind, Bolero of Fire, the song, and the song Requiem of Spirit. So those 5 things are going to be skipped. And the Heart Containers are pretty self-explanatory. We'll talk about the others when we get to them.
So Danny, I know there are some differing rule sets for glitchless in Ocarina of Time across some of the various categories. So could you give us, when you got a second here, maybe some kind of overarching idea of what glitchless means in this particular context?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 different types of glitchless categories in this game. We call them restricted and unrestricted. This is the restricted type, and this game just has so much tech. There's so many different kinds of tricks and glitches that it's almost impossible to draw a line somewhere and say, everything on this side of the line is a glitch, everything on this side is not. There's so much gray area. So, what everyone can kind of agree on is what things fall into that gray area. So, about 3 years ago, glitchless started to get pushed to some really crazy heights, and we started incorporating some pretty crazy tricks that kind of weren't glitches, but also made the category less fun because they were so hard and so precise, and they sort of felt like glitches to execute. And they definitely fell in that gray area. So we split it into 2 different rule sets, restricted and unrestricted. So what restricted does is it allows everything that is definitely not a glitch, and it bans both glitches and gray area stuff. And unrestricted allows gray area as well as non-glitches. So this is going to be the one that allows no gray area stuff at all. So you're going to be seeing, hopefully, nothing that might raise an eyebrow. Though if you do, I will explain it.
Or just don't tell anyone.
True. Ooh, interesting backflip there.
Oh, that was an interesting backflip.
Yeah. Working with a different audio setup than normal, so some of my cues might be a little off.
And Danny's just doing pretty typical rupee collection here in Kokiri Forest. The goal being to get the, I assume, the Deku Shield here. Though, who knows with low percent.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be getting the Deku Shield. Luckily for us, playing this game without a shield is very annoying. And we'll see that in action when we get to the adult section, because we're going to be skipping the Hylian Shield. Luckily, we'll have some reprieve in the back part of the run when we get the Mirror Shield, which is, of course, required for bosses like Twinrova and some of the puzzles in Spirit Temple. But most of the adult section of this game is going to be played shieldless.
So there's a great question in chat here. Also, a raid from ZFG that I feel is important to say thank you for. Welcome everybody from ZFG's chat. This is Danny B showing off glitchless low percent in Ocarina of Time for the GDQ hotfix. This is Challenger Approaching, which is an up-and-coming, a new GDQ hotfix show. This is the 2nd episode, so welcome in, everybody. And we'll be showing off a really cool Ocarina of Time category here. But there was an excellent question in chat that was about accidental glitches. So if there is an accidental glitch, does that disqualify the run? Is that something you have to, talk about? If it doesn't change the time, does it matter?
So accidental glitches are really, really hard to be beneficial, right? Almost all the time you encounter a glitch accidentally, it's going to be something that messes you up. And if that happens, nobody cares. You can just keep going. And, you're eating a time loss anyway because it happened to you, so no one's going to care. If you accidentally, because you've been playing glitch categories lately and you have, some muscle memory or something that causes you to do a glitch accidentally, like if I accidentally did dot skip or time skip, I would definitely be disqualified.
Again, for those of you just popping in from ZFG's stream, first of all, thank you for joining us on this Friday evening. This is the GDQ Hot Fix. So this is Challenger Approaching, a show where we showcase challenge runs and the runners who perform them. Danny B is showing off Ocarina of Time Glitchless low percent. The estimate for this is 415. Danny's going to try to smash that, but I have faith. I have faith, Danny. I have faith in you.
Okay, so here comes our first big trick in the run. Pause a little late. Let's get back up there and do it again. There we go.
So that was Danny's basically trying to traverse the Deku tree, obviously trying to get as few items as possible, so skipping the slingshot. And that means that Danny needs to skip the basement 1 section of the Deku tree. So that was sort of some really interesting movement to get quickly up to the higher area. And then he did a really interesting backflip with the Deku stick out to burn the web early without doing the block pushing puzzle. But again, that's really just movement tech. And that's why this category is so fascinating and enamoring, is that all you're going to be seeing is interesting movement tech, none of them glitches.
Okay, so I'm going to try to one-cycle this boss. I'm going to try to do it with only one deck in it, which is a 2-frame window, so hopefully I get it. Good.
Nice.
So there's an option in Decatry as far as collecting items goes. Oh, also, let me just make sure that I do not get this heart container because there is some very, very strong muscle memory telling me to do so. I'm going to take a really wide circle around this heart container.
Danny, I'm afraid that if you collected that heart container, I think we just have to stop the show.
Yeah, that would be it.
I think we have to cancel the show.
Well, you know, the cool thing about low percent is that there's nothing saying that you have to complete the game in a certain amount of items. You just have to try to minimize the number of items you get. So if I got that heart container, it would be a valid completion of low percent. There would just be a lower percent possible. And then so if my run was on a leaderboard and someone else did it in fewer items, even if they took way longer, they would still beat me. In fact, in my practice run yesterday, I accidentally picked up a gold Skulltula. So that also counts for items, and that would have been something extra. I don't want the heart container because this is low percent. Someone asked in chat, why don't I want it? And heart containers count as items, and I'm trying to minimize the number of items I collect.
Yeah, Danny, would you actually mind, just for the people that have just popped in, kind of reiterating glitchless and low percent a little bit?
Yeah, so we're trying to complete the game in as few items as possible, while also under the restriction of using no glitches, so glitchless low percent. It takes a little bit longer than glitchless any percent, because going out of our way to avoid items that are optional but fast costs us some time. So the main things that we're going to be skipping in this run over a regular glitchless any percent run are heart containers, which you just saw an example of. We're going to be skipping the Hylian Shield, Pharaoh's Wind, the Bolero of Fire, and Requiem of Spirit. And, you know, it's only like 5 things. Hearts, Pharaoh's Wind, Shields, and 2 songs. And it actually changes the run quite a bit. It completely changes the dungeon order, believe it or not. Completely changes what we have to accomplish within each dungeon. It completely changes our approach to a lot of enemy battles because of no shield. Now's a good time to talk about actually why shield is probably one of the most important things that we're skipping in this run. Because of the power crouch stab trick. So in this game, when you hold R and press B and Link huddles behind his shield and he just pokes his sword out and it's called stabbing. They never assigned a damage value to crouch stabbing. And so what it ends up doing is just using whatever damage value you used previously. So if I do a jump attack, a jump slash, which is the most powerful sword attack you can do, if you don't do anything else, only crouch stab from then on, all your crouch stabs from then on until you do something else are going to be the same power as a jump attack. And so power crouch stabbing, as we call that, is basically just an ingrained technique that we use in every single fight in this game. And it is considered not a glitch, just because that's how stabbing works. They might not have meant for that to be how stabbing works, and in fact, it was patched out of Majora's Mask by the time they got to the English release. But since we won't have a shield, as an adult, we won't be able to do any power crouch stabbing, so we're going to have to completely change how we approach a lot of these fights.
A really good question in chat here for you, Danny, if that's cool.
Yeah.
The question is about what if you pick up an item and then lose it? You know, for example, if you got the Hylian shield and then a like took it away, is that a gray area? Is that accounted for in the rules?
Yeah, that's accounted for. Low percent counts any items that you ever collected for any reason for any amount of time. So if I, say, accidentally touch a fire keys in the Dongo's Cavern and my Deca shield burns away, still counts. Collecting another one won't add to my count. It's just like the number of unique items you have used over the course of the run. But that leads into an interesting point. Things that don't count. A bottle can hold lots of different contents, and in fact, in the game code, they are all different items. So like a fish bottle is not like a bottle with a fish inside it. It's just a different item called a fish bottle. Different from like a blue fire bottle or an empty bottle or a red potion bottle or something like that. It doesn't matter how many different bottled items you use in a low percent run. It's just the bottle. So more of an intuitive approach for that reason. Oh, I mentioned earlier, and then we got distracted talking about some other things, that there was a choice in Decatry as to what items to collect. There were either Deca Nuts or Slingshot, and I posed that as a choice between the two of them because you need one or the other in order to defeat Goma. You need to be able to stun her before you can do any damage, and both of those weapons can accomplish that. I chose Deca Nuts because the Slingshot actually counts as two items. There's the Slingshot, and then there's the Seed Bag for the ammo. You get a 2-for-1 out of any weapon that has an ammo bag as well, so along with bombs and bow and arrow and a quiver. So the Slingshot would have been worth more items than just Deca Nuts were, so that's the main reason we choose Deca Nuts. And it's also very convenient, because in a glitchless any percent run, we skip Slingshot anyway, because it's very fast to do so. We need Deca Nut and Deca Stick Deca Nut, I just explained why we needed that to stun Goma. And Deca Sticks, we're going to need a source of fire as Child Link sometimes. And Deca Stick is the only way for Child Link to be able to use fire until we get Dinsfire.
I'm seeing a lot of people in chat that are asking about whether or not this category is on the leaderboards. I believe, as Danny said previously, this category has not been run in many years. I am not seeing it on the category extensions even, so I don't think this is on leaderboards anywhere at the moment, but Danny can correct me if I'm wrong there.
There is no leaderboard for this, so whatever we're watching right now, this is probably going to be the fastest official completion of Glitchless Low Percent ever, by default.
Whoa, wait, Danny, hang on. Hold your horses. Did you just say that we're going to see a world record live on stream tonight?
That's right.
Oh my goodness gracious me, oh my.
Default world records are the most exciting ones.
Oh, for sure. Because you can be as bad as you want and still get one.
Exactly.
It's free. And just as a, maybe there are some viewers that are newer to speedrunning. Danny, can you explain why the characters in the text boxes look like they're not English?
Now, let me add another point onto that. Not only do they not look like they're in English, they are in fact not in English. I know it's mind-blowing, but we're using the Japanese version of the game. And lots of games have different glitches and different techniques you can do between different localizations, different languages, and things like that. In this game, there is exactly 0 differences between the different localizations, aside from PAL versus NTSC, different frame rates and things. But in this game, we just use Japanese because there's less text and the cutscenes go by faster. So I'm gonna pick up some of those rupees. I actually didn't need most of those, that was muscle memory, but that's okay because we need to wait here anyway for nighttime. This is a great example of an awesome little glitchless optimization here. there are fewer people in the market at nighttime. And that means the market lags less at nighttime, so it saves us a little bit of time rolling through here. And you might be asking, well, was it worth the amount of time you waited? You were standing there for like 10 seconds. And it doesn't matter, in fact, because the only thing I need to do here is arrive at the crawl space to the courtyard to go talk to Zelda by morning, because I'm gonna have to wake up Talon with this egg that's gonna turn into a Cuckoo by morning. So I am railroaded to just wait for morning anyway. So that means that I want to minimize the amount of time spent in areas where time of day is not passing. So that was the market. That's also why I did that weird little like backflip setup to re-enter market so that Malin would appear here. Because I did a setup that allows me to touch the loading zone for market with 0 walking speed, so that Link doesn't run into the market on the other side. He just walks in, and it means that I'm closer to the loading zone on the other side, spend a few fewer frames in market than I would have if I had just ran in. Lots of really tiny considerations.
There's another good question in chat here about rupees, because this question comes up a lot actually in 100% runs that I have seen, where people are like, don't you need to max out the rupee count in the wallet, etc., etc. So do rupees count towards low percent?
Nope, they do not. Rupees are completely transient things. There's, wallets do count, but the rupees themselves do not, and that goes for anything that you can consider ammo. Anything that fills a capacity bag does not count. So I could pick up as many bombs, as many Deku Sticks, as many Deku Nuts as I want. As long as I don't get any capacity upgrades, it does not count.
There's also people asking why Wii Virtual Console.
Solely because there's less lag than there is on N64. It's that simple. Those are basically the two options that we have for speedrunning this game, is Wii Virtual Console and N64.
Yeah, if you were doing some other categories, then there might be version-exclusive glitches, such as things that are different based on the 1.2 version or 1.1 version on N64 or Wii VC or what have you. But when it comes to glitchless, since there are no glitches being used or version-exclusive tricks, it is purely just a lag-based question. And shocker, the Wii has more processing power than the Nintendo 64.
Okay, so we get to do a little bit of a skip here. Very tiny one. Don't need to push these blocks all the way. Let's do a nice little jump slash. So I'm going to try my best to not get caught by these guards. I'm also going to try my best to go as fast as possible, so we might get caught here. Let's see. Hey, we did it.
Nice. So yeah, the guards, you might have thought when you were a kid that maybe the direction the guards were looking didn't actually matter, but it does. The guards' eyesight is based almost purely on the direction in which they are looking and whether or not they're moving. And so there are, I think Fig posted a great video to Twitter of a visualization of their vision cones recently. But yeah, those side hops, also if you side hop frame perfectly, you can't get caught. So I'd like to just say that even though Danny was moving based on where they were looking, let's just say Danny did them all frame perfectly. Why not? I also see a question here about backwalking, if you want to explain that.
Yeah, sure. So there's actually lots of different kinds of movement options in this game. There's regular walking, there's rolling, there's backwalking, there's side hopping. There's all kinds of things you can do. And it's all very situational. Each one has its own strengths and weaknesses. So backwalking is generally used in any case where you're going to have to go in a straight line over a long distance. Long being any distance that's more than about 5 rolls worth or so, and that has a very specific reason. Rolling and backwalking actually have the same top speed. Backwalking accelerates to that top speed right away, basically, and rolling pops to that top speed in the middle of every roll, but falls back down to a low speed in between each. So on average, rolling is slower, but backwalking has a little bit of overhead time involved in turning around first. And that little bit amount of time gives rolling an edge over very short distances, because you don't have to turn around. But once you have to do more than about 5 rolls, that time it takes to turn around gets 1 back over the course of the backwalk. So backwalking is faster as long as you are going a little bit further than normal. Now's a good time to talk about cutscenes, I guess, too. You might have noticed there's quite a few cutscenes in the beginning of this run. Glitchless has a pretty slow first half hour or so once you get through the intro and all the Decatry cutscenes and the Zelda cutscenes, and we have to learn Saria's song after this. But after that, it's actually pretty nice. The cutscene ratio in this category, like the ratio of cutscene to gameplay, is on the better side of this game in general. This game just has a lot of cutscenes. And the ratio, I think, is like 35 to 40% for this category, which might sound high to you, but it's actually very standard for this game. And some of the most popular glitched categories, like GSR, for example, if you're familiar with OOT, has even higher ratios than that. It's a pretty fun and fast-paced run overall once you get past the first half hour or so.
So Danny, do you along with Glitchless, which is sort of your main thing on your channel, what other categories, speedruns do you do?
So I kind of do everything in this game. This game is definitely my bread and butter. I started with Glitchless. I come back to Glitchless like once every year or two. But I have run quite literally every category this game has to offer. I do pretty well. I had the any percent record, like the actual true any percent record for most of this year. I lost it by a few seconds just a couple weeks ago. I have the Glitchless any percent world record right now, which I actually just took back 3 days ago. But yeah, I just really like being well-rounded in this game overall.
What's your, if you don't mind me asking, what's your sort of big next speed project, or are you just going to continue to grind Glitchless?
So I have an idea that I've been playing with about maybe trying a different game. I know, gasp, but I'm thinking I might try some Super Mario Odyssey after I'm done grinding Glitchless. So I've been playing this game pretty much exclusively on my channel for like 6 years. So it's been a long time. I've accomplished a lot of goals that I'm very happy with. So I think maybe I'll try something new.
Everybody, I posted in the Twitch chat as well, but perhaps if you're watching on YouTube or something, follow this man, twitch.tv/DannyB. That's one word, DANNYB. It's really worth your time. He is certainly one of the most consistent Ocarina of Time speedrunners and has been for many years. So drop him a follow. Oh, he also plays Mario Kart Double Dash.
That's true. Yeah, I do some Double Dash. Double Dash is super fun. I could grind that game for days straight if I had to. It's so comfy. Time trials, I find, are a great way to turn off my brain after the amount of focus that this game requires. This game is just like super intense, and in time trials, you can just reset for like hours and just do hundreds of tries and not feel stressed out. So, we have a bunch of overworld stuff to do before we head to Dodongo's Cavern. The next thing that we're going to do is head over to the Gorons and get the strength upgrade, which we're going to need for Dodongo's Cavern. But of course, Darunia won't give us the strength upgrade until we play him a nice little tune, so we're going to have to go talk to Saria first.
I was about to ask why you weren't collecting Cuccos, and then I remembered this is low percent. And
Yeah.
you have to get Rudo's bottle, so...
Yep. And that's actually the same as Glitchless any percent as well. There's
I
only
figured
one
as
bottle
much.
necessary, and since we need to move King Zora, the diving game bottle is the one to do. Question in chat: when should side hopping be used? Side hopping is really strong in a couple of situations. The first one is if you're on a steep uphill. Backwalking actually gets nerfed when the hill is steep enough. so side hopping becomes the much stronger option in that case. As Child Link, in fact, side hopping is faster than backwalking if you can chain it frame perfectly. The problem is that getting angles for side hopping is pretty hard. It's really easy to just like turn 180 and then start a backwalk wherever you're facing. Turning 90 degrees requires like stopping on a dime, which is kind of hard. So side hopping is generally not used unless you're going to get a big benefit from it. And it's a good time to answer that question because you're actually going to see a good usage of side hopping right here. Separate from hills is jumping off of stuff. Jumping off of ledges is pretty slow in this game. Your movement speed through the air is very slow. However, your movement speed in a side hop, which I totally didn't do, but I meant to do right there, is much higher. So anytime you're about to jump off of something high, side hopping, if you can eat the fall damage on the bottom, is generally the better bet.
Are there any day-night cycle required segments in this category? Like anything where it is necessary to pay attention to the height of the sun, per se?
No, except for just that segment with the cuckoo hatching in the beginning. That was pretty much the only thing. So if I have good movement here, I can avoid skipping, or I can avoid lighting that torch and make it all the way to this bomb flower and light it with the Deca-Stick fire for a nice quick exit to Lost Woods, which is where we're headed.
You know, I didn't even know you could do that until, like, this year, or I guess it's 2021 now. Until 2020, I did not know you could light bomb flowers with lit Deca-Sticks.
It's pretty useful. In fact, I think that's the only way to get a bomb flower to fall off a wall. There's like a couple wall-bound bomb flowers.
I always wondered how you blew those up, truly. As a kid, I was like, what do I do with this? I can't reach
aside from
this.
sending another explosive at it, which is redundant, of course.
Exactly.
Oh, check out this fight. It's a tough one. So, Wolfos have more health than you might expect there, but they die in one hit. And the reason for that is that they take ×8 damage from the back. Which is not something that they ever really advertise to you, but it's true. Playing with fire here with my health. It's low percent for you. Luckily, the very next thing that we're going to do is a save warp, which is saving the game, quitting, resetting, and re-arriving back at either the start of the dungeon if you're in a dungeon, or in Link's house if you're not, or in Temple of Time if you're adult. And save warping, if you have less than 3 hearts, puts your hearts directly up to 3, which is convenient, because that's full health for the entirety of this run.
This area is kind of calm at night. It's nice.
Yeah, usually it's actually dusk by the time I get here, but I was slow on Death Mountain Trail, so it turned night before I got into Goron City. So Dodongo's Cavern's coming up. Probably one of the scariest dungeons in a glitchless run, because as I explained earlier about all the reasons why not having a shield is terrible, it's pretty scary to be constantly on the lookout for those fire keys, hoping that your shield does not burn.
So if earlier we talked about any item picked up any time counts towards your percentage, but what if your Deku Shield burns and you have to get a second one? That, I assume, does not mean, 2 items. It's still just the one Deku Shield.
That's right. It's still just one. So here's another time where side hopping is going to be good, because I had to side hop off Link's house, and then since I'm already side hopping, I'll just go the whole way. The other option there was to backflip off Link's house, but side hopping keeps that side hop speed for the entirety of the time you're in the air, so the higher the ledge, the stronger it is.
If you were able to side hop frame perfectly, I think Danny may have mentioned this earlier, but if you were physically capable of such a superhuman feat, such as if you are a tool-assisted speedrun. Side hopping frame perfectly is definitely the fastest movement form as child without use of glitches. But even non-frame perfectly chained side hops are still quite powerful, as Danny's been saying. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat curious about rupee count and ammo drops such as bombs or, slingshot nuts or deku nuts. So long as you don't get an upgrade to the amount of things you can hold, such as a wallet or a bullet bag upgrade, anything like that, then having a certain amount of them doesn't really matter because, as Danny said earlier, they're transient. These are items that come and go as you use them. So, for example, you could spend rupees or lose them somehow, and that doesn't matter. So you don't need 99 rupees for 100% run, and you don't need 0 rupees for low percent.
There's a question in the chat, when would you just run instead of rolling or hopping? Pretty much never. Pretty much never. Just regular walking is very slow, and rolling is always going to be better than walking in pretty much every single scenario. All right. Oh, extra little conversation with Darunia there. All right, and now we're
checking up on you.
Yeah. He's a nice guy. He's our sworn brother, after all. Well, not yet, actually. Spoilers. He will be our sworn brother.
Danny, this game came out 22 years ago. Can you please stop spoiling things?
Sorry.
Yeah, I believe that is the correct list of things that are skipped in Glitchless low percent as opposed to normal Glitchless any percent. The Hylian Shield, Furor's Wind, Bolero of Fire, and Requiem of Spirit.
How many items in glitched any percent is 3. There are 3 items that you get in true any percent in this game, and in fact, true low percent and true any percent are the same right now. They aren't always, but just so happens that the fastest way to beat the game also has the fewest number of possible items to beat the game.
It's also that way in Wind Waker right now. It is kind of rare for low percent and any percent to be the same category in 3D Zelda titles, but it just so happens that for Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker right now, that's the case. But that is for true glitched any percent, whereas we are watching the fancy glitchless low percent, which is quite different from glitchless any percent.
Alright, so the first major thing that's going to happen in Dodongo's Cavern is we're going to fight some Lizalfos. And Lizalfos are pretty cool. They have 6 health each. And if you ever do 3 damage to them, or more, like once they reach 3 health, then they run away from you, and their partner subs in, and they just go back and forth until they're both dead. So if we can ever avoid getting them to 3 health, we can kill one of them. And it just so happens that we have attacks that are worth 2 damage and 4 damage. And so if I do a 2 damage attack, followed by a 4 damage attack, he'll be dead without ever crossing the 3 threshold, so we can kill him a lot faster and prevent them from running away. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Right now I have my Power Crouch Stab stored with 2 damage. Then I'm going to do a Deca Stick Jump Slash, which stores 4 damage, and kills him on my next stab. And this guy, since there isn't a second one anymore, has nowhere to run away to, so it just takes 2 hits, and he's gone.
So you saw that for a moment there, Danny jump slashed at the end, or right as a little cinematic played, where the door, the chains lift on the door, or the bars, I suppose. It's things like that that make Glitchless so spicy, in my opinion, because Glitchless is all about these tiny optimizations, and oftentimes Glitchless runners will go to other categories and dominate because they're so used to, like, every little bit of movement is critical, because that's the only way you can save time, really, is like really, really in-depth movement, as opposed to, glitches that take a billion different frame-perfect things. I think the mindset required for a glitchless run can be, not always, but can be a little bit different.
It definitely is in this game. Also, cool thing here, the only thing you actually need to put down this staircase is having 2 simultaneous, or near simultaneous explosions on the back end. So you can avoid having to go through the whole chain reaction here by just putting 2 bombs at the ends at the same time. But yeah, what you said about mindset is definitely true. There are people who play this game for a long time with glitches, and then they do glitchless, and they're just like, oh my god, it's so different, you know? Like, you have to constantly be considering every single tiny, like, movement option, and you just... The common thought is that you just feel every time loss so much more potently.
It kind of reminds me of like a very retro platformer speedrun in that sense. Like, it feels like a very traditional platformer when I'm watching Glitchless, even though, you know, obviously the tech is very different. The methodology and the modality of the run is pretty similar. Like, such an emphasis on movement and small optimizations. Oh, I love this trick.
Here we go. Don't have the slingshot, but who needs one?
So this is slingshot skip. Danny obviously does not have the slingshot, and this is skipped in Glitchless any % as well. So he has to do some pretty fancy movement to get around the sections in which you're supposed to get rid of those fire pillars by shooting eyes with the slingshot. And the second room is one of my favorite rooms in Ocarina of Time speedrunning. So I'm excited for you all to see it.
This one's really hard, so I hope I don't burn my shield. Let's see if I can do it. I did frame early. Oh well. We'll do it the slightly slower way, and luckily we have a backup shield coming up.
Oh, this is the classic.
Yeah, this is the easier way. Normally that would be an instant reset in a run, but still made it.
It's still so cool.
Yeah, that's
and
like
that's the old setup from years ago.
Yeah, that's like a 25% reset point. It's just so hard to do quickly. It's a frame perfect jump slash to get around that fire, and I went 1 frame early.
I have a question here that I'll answer. What is Challenger approaching? This is a newer GDQ hotfix show. We just had our first episode 2 weeks ago. You can see it on the GDQ YouTube channel, actually. But this is our second episode, and the show is all about showcasing challenge runs. So Glitchless Low Percent is a challenge run in that it's sort of a self-imposed restriction, right? It is a series of restrictions placed on by the runner or the community to make a really interesting, difficult run. Other examples of this might be like a damageless run in Dark Souls, or 2 weeks ago we showed off Pokemon no-exp. So these are the types of runs you'll be seeing on Challenger Approaching, and we still have several more episodes to go over the coming months. So be sure to tune in for Challenger Approaching as it keeps on going.
So there's a backup shield back there. It's not a huge time loss for a showcase run like this, but in a regular glitchless run, that would be a reset. It loses about 20 seconds or so. You might think, it's a 4-hour speed run. How important could 20 seconds be? This glitchless in general, glitchless any % anyway, is so optimized in this game. Actually, hold on. I need to listen to these keys. Ah. Actually, these keys don't really matter, because if I take
You don't have your shield equipped.
I don't have my shield. Yeah, I'll equip the shield after. Normally, I would have to be super focused in this room to make sure that these keys aren't coming, and you have to like listen for audio cues about where they're flapping, watch for their shadows, watch for where Navi is if she goes up to highlight one of them. I'll still do this to avoid taking some damage, since I only have 3 hearts, but it really doesn't matter that much. Let's put on that shield now. Yeah, so I was saying that like Glitchless is so optimized in this game. It's a 3-hour and 40-minute speedrun. The world record is 3 hours, 39 minutes, and 47 seconds by me, Glitchless any %. And my sum of best is only a 336. So we're trying to be like less than 3 minutes off of our gold splits across almost 4 hours, which is very little. So if you notice, I did a Deku Stick jump slash upstairs to store 4 damage to my crouch stab. This guy has 12 health. I'm gonna use one of these to save a bomb of my own. Each time a bomb explodes in his face, it does 2 damage, and then each one of my stabs is the equivalent of a Deku Stick jump slash, which does 4. So it only takes 2 cycles to kill him.
We'll pick up the heart container.
Yes, thank you.
So I saw a lot of people talking about just like kind of getting used to things in Ocarina of Time and, you know, being good at doing things frame perfectly or what have you. And I'd love for you to talk on this in a second here, Danny. But Ocarina of Time runs at a slower than most speed game frame rate. What is it, 20 something?
It's 20, yeah.
It's 20. So frame perfect tricks feel a little more lenient on Ocarina of Time, especially on like the N64 version, for example. But there's pause buffering to get frame perfect inputs consistently by buffering 1 frame at a time by unpausing and repausing the game. But Danny is so good that likely you will not see that many pause buffers in this run.
0, in fact, I think. Actually, no, there was a pause buffer for one thing in Decatree, but actually it's not really a pause buffer. What happens a lot in this category is we will try our best to coincide difficult timing tricks with equips that need to be done. So like places where you need to pause the game anyway to change your items. And so usually what will try to happen is you pause once on the frame you need just to make sure that you got the frame. And if you happen to not get the frame, then you do a pause buffer or 2 if you need to. But it's a nice way to just like make sure the timing worked out without actually losing any time. Okay, so that's 2 out of the 3 child dungeons down. And next we're off to the last one. There's significantly less overworld stuff we need to do between Dodongo's Cavern and Jabba's Belly. Excuse me. We kind of just have to get to Zura's Domain, play the game to get the silver scale so we can get a diving upgrade, which is necessary to get the bottle with Ruto's letter in it. It's a nice big side up off a cliff. And once we have the letter, then we just head straight into Jabba's Belly. With a fish, of course.
I believe we're sworn brothers now.
Yes, we are. Sworn brothers.
I meant you and me, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was obvious, of course.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Danny, in this run, in Glitchless Low Percent, you know, don't spoil it if it's yet to come, and if you don't want to, you know, spoil all the fun. But are there some some tricks, I should say, some tricks that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. There's a really cool trick in Shadow Temple that we're gonna use to save 35 seconds. Now, in Glitchless, there aren't too many places that you can like really save a load of time at once, right? Because our tool set is just so limited. But in Shadow Temple, we can save 35 seconds by just not pushing a block throughout a whole big room. We'll talk about that when we get there. Water Temple is going to look completely foreign to anyone who's only used to playing it casually. Water Temple is just awesome in general. There are so many crazy movement tricks that you can do in that dungeon. So that's going to be a fun one. Forest Temple has one pretty big skip that we're going to do. It's going to save a bunch of time. It's going to allow us to get some keys early on. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in this category. You'll see when we get there. All right, here's a tough one. I just barely made that. Holy cow.
Oh, that trick rocks.
All right, and here's one more tricky one right here. Hopefully I make this too. Nice, got there. That skips using Zelda's Lullaby on the waterfall. Not that we don't have Zelda's Lullaby, it's just faster to do that.
Doing the Kako jump from the right side is terrifying.
It's so scary. It's so scary.
Why not just go up?
Because it's faster this way. You have to save time.
Oh, see, y'all, now this is a speedrunner.
That is a 1.5 second time saver at the cost of 30 seconds if you fail, which is not uncommon to fail. All right,
hey, if you don't get the diving minigame in 2 dives, I'm gonna scream.
Ooh, there's not a chance I do this one in 2 dives. This one's gonna be 3.
It's because you're not believing hard enough.
True. Oh, it's gonna be 4. Unless I can squeeze this one out here. Can I get both of these in 1 dive? No, just barely not. So this is our first really big instance of RNG, randomness, luck in this category. There is going to be quite a few things that are pretty luck-based. This one, it really just depends on where the rupees get thrown. Your goal is to try to get at least 1 or 2 off the waterfall jump, but the spacing wasn't very good, and I just barely missed them. So 4 dives is not very good. Generally 3 is like average.
I said I was gonna scream, but I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
just imagine that I did it.
Yeah. I'm gonna draw my Deca Stick here. I had my sword in hand from stabbing that pot for more Deca Nuts. And I pulled out my Deca Stick here because it saves exactly 1 frame to talk to people with a Deca Stick in hand instead of a sword in hand. And the reason for that is just it takes different amounts of time to put them away.
This is the type of knowledge only a glitchless runner will care about.
Exactly. Gotta save those frames where you can. That was actually our one and only instance of spending money in this run to play the game. Usually we would spend 80 more rupees to pick up a Hylian shield in the market before we go adult. But we're skipping that because as important as shields are, technically it's optional, so we gotta skip it.
Annie, I don't want to like style on you, but you did spend 40 rupees in the Kokiri shop.
No, you're right. Oh, I just revoke my speedrunning card right now.
All right, everybody, this is Danny's screaming now. Just imagine that's happening.
I'm screaming. All right.
Oh, it's the best part.
Of the run. Most
Everybody
important part.
Everybody be quiet. This is very important to me and Danny, I know.
If you're from my stream, I hope I see the chat filled with weeps. It's just so soothing. So there's 25 weeps there. Fun fact. The perfect number of weeps to do a pyramid in chat. But if you can pull up a 5-layer pyramid in a GDQ chat, then I'll just congratulate you here and now, because that would be a feat.
Just in case anybody ever doubted that GDQ tech people aren't the best, they're the best tech people. I just got word from tech that just for them weeps, the game volume was boosted. just for you and I, Danny, apparently.
Amazing.
So
All
stream, right. You heard weeps at extra volume. Go ahead, Danny.
Oh, I was just gonna say you guys won't have to suffer the beeping too much longer of the hearts. We're gonna pick up some health here. Oh, fun fact, we just learned this from some people doing some digging into the game, the animation used for King Zora to weep his way across his throne is the Japanese word for crab. So I think they were thinking crab walk when they made that.
Huh. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, there is a decomposition of Ocarina of Time's code currently being done by several...
style on you, but it's decompilation. All right, now we're even.
All right, we're even.
Yeah.
Revoke my computer science card. There's a decomp going on of Ocarina of Time's code by several very, very, very smart, intelligent, talented individuals, and we've learned a lot of really interesting stuff about the game that we didn't already know. Danny, I'm crying.
It's okay.
You can't see, but I'm crying.
Yeah. Now we're both crying on the inside. Now we're just going to both be sad for the rest of the run.
Oh, gosh. What a good show. Everyone's going to be so excited to be here.
So we gotta bring this fish girl throughout the dungeon. This is one of the strongest parts of the game. People have tried for years and years to try to find a way around this escort quest, and there's just no way. There's no way to do it.
Yeah, the switch for the boomerang door is too powerful.
They check specifically, so like it's meant intuitively to be like a weighted switch. So like if you are just on there with stuff in your hands, it'll go down, and Ruto just happens to be heavy enough. But the way it actually works is the switch checks to see if Link is carrying Ruto specifically. So it's like there's just no way around it.
This begs the question why more things in this game aren't so rigorously checked.
I don't know.
Like, that's the only thing I can think of that's like the medallions, for God's sake. You only need the spirit and shadow ones to get the light arrow cutscene.
They were like, okay, let's make Shadow Medallion dependent on forest, fire, and water, because that's how you get the Nocturne of Shadow cutscene. This learn the song is to get those 3 dungeons. And so then they figured, well, if you have Shadow Medallion, that must mean you have the other 3, so let's just check only for Shadow Medallion at the end of the game.
But if you step on that switch without Ruto, I swear to God. Danny, you should press C up a few times.
C up? Nothing happened.
While you're carrying Ruto.
Nothing happened.
What? Keep trying it.
Oh, backwalking doesn't work. Interesting. We just learned something brand new about Ocarina of Time.
I just like the noise. I'm a fan.
Alright, we're gonna use Ruto's booty here.
Oh, bombs in this room. That's so interesting.
Gotta use them where you can.
Yeah, Ruto instantly kills that enemy when they appear out of the ground.
Nobody knows the names of the enemies in this dungeon.
I mean, I can tell you the name of the bubbles is Shabombs.
That's true. Good one.
Because I once said bubble, and a Swedish speedrunner was like, what did you call them?
How about these? I will gift a sub to your stream if you know the name of these.
Hang on. I'm not Googling it.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Okay, wow, I'm really just digging deep in the recesses of my mind here.
Oh, I miscounted the number of hits that I was doing here, because I was laughing at Adef.
Well, Danny, I've cached my knowledge, and it appears Tail Passarin is the name.
Is it?
And
yeah, you nailed it. That was it. Good job.
Where's my gift sub?
It'll be a tier 0.
Oh no, that won't do.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you the name of the jellyfish is Beery. That I know.
True. How about the big ones?
Stop it. They're called Baris.
They are.
I didn't Google that. I was already on the Zelda dungeon page that listed all the enemies in this dungeon.
The boss of this dungeon is called Baronade.
Oh my god.
It's a Barry tornado. Baronade. Baronado.
You are legit blowing my mind. Wow. I don't think I have anything of value to say anymore.
It's a good one. It's a really good fun fact. Probably my favorite.
It's fantastic.
Can you skip trials in Glitchless? Someone asks in chat. You can in Glitchless Unrestricted, where damage boosts are allowed. It's possible to use a damage boost to hit that wall in the Ganon's Castle room that causes you to load past the trials when you touch it. So that wall existing is like, we're allowed to touch it as long as we can do so without glitches. Damage boosts are not allowed in this category, however. Not because they're glitches, but because they're just too powerful. In unrestricted glitchless, they're allowed, but not in restricted. All right, cool tech coming up here. Let's see if we can do it. Dang, I backflipped 1 frame too late. If I would have pressed A 1 frame sooner, I would have backflipped, and I would have been caught like behind the octagonal corner of this platform in the middle. And the cutscene wouldn't have been able to place Link where they're supposed to place him, and I would have been behind this guy. I would have killed him a little bit faster. So now we have to do the much slower version of this fight. Yeah, it's over, but it would have been faster if I had done it right.
Danny, did you know there's a fairy in that pot after the big octo?
I did.
All right, well, I'm gonna stop then. Just trying to... Do you know what these things are called? The Wiggly Boys?
No! I did the thing! The worst possible thing you can do.
Oh,
it's so annoying. It's so annoying when that happens. They don't become solid until they stop moving completely, and so you just get pushed off. It's very annoying. Alright, I missed the elevator. I guess we're gonna have to do this. Oh! The miss. The bonk of shame on the Switch.
This is a 1 frame trick.
Oh, okay. My A button just didn't roll there. Blaming the controller like any good speedrunner.
Now this is a man of science.
Yeah.
So Danny does not have the box with him because he hasn't lowered the floor. So he's skipping the door by doing a frame perfect A press after rolling towards the door from a specific position.
That's very much an audio-based cue for me, and my setup being a little bit different here definitely threw me off, but we made it. It's good.
Interesting. For me, it's completely visual. It's always fascinating to me. Speedrunners of even the same game or the same category treat things so differently in their own way.
Yeah. All right, time for the Barry tornado.
No, the Barracuda tornado.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say Baronade is one of the coolest boss fights in this game for speedrunning. There's a lot of really diverse, like, options as far as manipulating the individual phases. And it also looks super cool when done quickly.
Alright, now, no heart container. We gotta skip it. This is the last heart container that I have muscle memory for, because in a normal glitchless any percent run, you only get the 3 Child Dungeons hearts, because 1, they're very fast to get, because they're generally right next to the blue warp here, and 2, because you need 6 hearts to survive in Fire Temple without the Goron Tunic, which is something we usually skip anyway. Unless you get fairies, which are very slow. All right, we did it. We finished the child dungeons.
Hey, nice work.
Thanks. So we're coming up on a gauntlet of cutscenes here. We're gonna get to adult, and then things are gonna speed up a lot. Except for no shield. Oh boy, I'm not looking forward to no shield. It's gonna be scary.
Just know that I'm supporting you.
Okay, that helps a lot.
I know. That's why I said it.
Let's see. In a normal glitchless any % run, my target time here is under an hour. So we're at 102-ish right now. So that's not bad. Not bad for a run that's a little bit different than I'm used to. Not bad for a run where I'm not allowed to reset. I'm happy with this pace. This is good.
Yeah, if you want to see more high-tier Ocarina of Time gameplay, well, gosh darn it, go to twitch.tv/DannyB, and I'm going to post that link in the chat, so you don't even have to type it into your own browser window. You can just click it and then follow him. It's 2 clicks. That's like nothing.
That's like fewer than 3 clicks even.
I would say Jeff Bezos requires more clicks to get your Prime sub.
That's true. Someone asks in chat, how does the glitchless category restrict the items you can skip compared to regular low percent? English words are hard. The concept of low percent is exactly the same between glitchless and glitched. Glitchless itself being the modifier is completely independent from the concept of low percent. So you can skip anything that is possible to skip following the glitchless rules. If you guys are curious about the glitchless rules, like exactly what is allowed and banned, it's a pretty long set of rules, a little bit complicated. Go to speedrun.com/OOT. You'll find the glitchless category on there. You can click the show rules button on the glitchless leaderboard, and it'll give you the list. All right, so we're gonna learn the Song of Time here. Ooh, super fun fact.
Oh, I know what you're about to say.
Do you? I'm surprised. It's recent.
It's a very fun fact.
Okay, so Impa on a horse is going to be riding out of the castle with Princess Zelda in tow. Princess Zelda's going to see us here and absolutely launch Hail Mary, the Ocarina of Time, into the moat from on horseback, running the other direction across Hyrule Field. And everyone always says, what an arm she has! Let's look at this right here. Don't worry, that's not the fun fact. Watch it closely. In fact, the Ocarina of Time is not flying through the air towards the moat. It's just going up, straight up, and straight down. That's it. It exactly where she left it off. It just goes up and then down. And it's a camera trick to make you think it's going far away by the camera zooming out with the horse.
My immersion was absolutely trashed when I heard that.
Yep. And then when the camera cuts to the moat, the Ocarina teleports.
You want to know why they probably did that? Well, one reason is for the cinematography of the moment. The other reason is probably 2 separate actors.
Oh, maybe.
I would wager the first one's just like an animation, maybe. And then it cuts to an actual actor being dropped in the water. But I don't know. I didn't even know what decomp stood for, so you know what? I'm just gonna let this one go. But I do love the idea that Zelda from over 100 meters is like, yeah, take this rock.
There's a great episode of crap, what's the name of the show? Mythbusters, where they do that exact thing. They shoot a soccer ball out of a cannon out the back of a moving truck in the other direction and try to counteract the momentum perfectly. It's pretty cool. Also, watch this. I didn't go all the way down. If you press A on one frame of the diving animation, one specific frame, then you can pick up the ocarina from further away. I don't know if anybody knows why that works yet.
Danny, did you bring up relativistic physics on my GDQ hotfix show just now?
No, I brought up the very popular and interesting show called Mythbusters. You could talk about relativistic physics if you want.
I'm good.
talking about cannons and soccer balls and trucks.
Cannons and soccer balls and trucks. I love Ocarina of Time, bro. So in a moment here, when Danny picks up the Master Sword, I'm just sort of preempting this so that everybody knows, because typically in sort of a GDQ hotfix style, we would pause everything, but since the Master Sword cutscene is so long and we've got a lot of time to get through tonight, we are going to go ahead and play some ads during the Master Sword cutscene, which is in a minute or two here. But we'll get you right back into the action right afterwards. But that's not for a minute or so. We still got time.
Yeah. So normally at this point in the run, I would have more than 80 rupees because I would have picked up some rupees from a pot in the Damageless Cavern. I would be heading straight to the shop to purchase a Hylian shield, which makes our lives so much more bearable in the adult section of the run. But we're just going straight here. That's it.
So as Danny opens the door of time with the Song of Time, I'll just say really quickly that AGDQ 2021 Online is coming up in just a few days. Everybody, AGDQ 2021 Online, I repeat, starts on Sunday. You can go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. The schedule is there. Find some games you're looking forward to watching and get ready to support a great cause in the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It's going to be awesome. There are so many great runs in the lineup. I might be playing a game. If I might, I mean, I am playing a game on Saturday night. So be sure to tune in for that. I'm playing Mario 35. It's going to be a blast. But yeah, check out AGDQ 2021 online, gamesdonequick.com. And here in a second, we'll cut to an ad break right as Danny picks up the Master Sword. And then we'll see you guys back here in just a little bit.
And plenty of you guys who came from CFG stream earlier, he's doing this game in the marathon. He's going to be doing all dungeons, which is a super cool run, very different from any all dungeons runs you might have seen prior to the last year. I'll be commentating that, so I'll be part of it as well. It's going to be fun.
Danny, you should pick up that sword.
I'm going as fast as I can. Navi just won't shut up, man. There it is. There it is. We got there. All right, we'll see you guys after the ad break.
Welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. This is Challenger Approaching, a show where we showcase challenge runs and the runners that perform them. My name is Adef. Today we have Danny B. We're back after a short little ad break during the Master Sword cutscene. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything, just a bunch of text boxes. And this is Glitchless Low Percent. Really quickly, though, I'd like to say that if you are watching on YouTube and would like to support our live content, please consider checking out our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/GDQ. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to any Twitch channel of your choice every month for free. Please consider using your Prime Gaming account to support the weekly GDQ Hotfix content to support more awesome shows like this. Now, Danny, what is Glitchless Low Percent, and what have we done so far?
Yeah, so Glitchless is the restriction imposed in this category, and it means to, of course, play the game without doing any glitches. And low percent is the goal, which means to beat the game with as few items as possible. And things that count as items are anything you can see in the pause menu. So, like items, upgrades, shields, tunics, gold sculptulas, songs, medallions, anything like that, and also anything you can see on the heads-up display, so like hearts and magic. We just finished the first child section of the run, so we finished Decatry, the Damageless Cavern, and Jabu's Belly, and now we are off to start our adventure as Adult Link. It's going to be Forest Temple first, which is our first deviation from the dungeon order of regular glitchless any percent runs. Usually we would do Fire Temple, or Ice Cavern, actually, first. And so the reason why we're not is because Ice Cavern usually comes paired with getting Pharaoh's Wind, which is the warp magic that you get. So you can set a warp point in a dungeon and then return to it from anywhere within a dungeon. And Pharaoh's Wind is not required to beat the game, which is why we're skipping it in low percent, because it's possible to. But it's so powerful for breaking dungeon order stuff. In fact, it's so fast that using it in Forest Temple alone completely offsets the time it takes to go get it. But of course, since it's not necessary, we're going to be skipping it in this run. And since we don't need we don't need it right away, it's going to be faster for us to get it. Go to Ice Cavern later when the overworld movement just works out better.
49, by the way, is my guess.
Okay. Very good guess.
Thank you. I saw you got hit by one flame, and I was like, that'll be a 49.
Yep. Insider information.
Gosh darn, have I played this game? Who knows? Hey, all of you, I'd also like to say a quick plug for our friend Danny B. If you're just joining the show, or if you've been enjoying this Ocarina of Time gameplay, Danny does tons of Ocarina of Time speedrunning over on his channel. I cannot recommend it enough. Please go on over to twitch.tv/DannyB and drop a follow. I posted the link there in chat. Give this man a follow.
All right, so we're gonna get crushed by that door so we can come back over here rather than having to play Song of Time and go through the windmill and stuff. And now we're kind of just straight off to a dungeon, which is cool. Normally there would be a lot of time in between starting Adult and our first dungeon in a Glitchless any % run, but Forest Temple basically right away in this run.
Are there any dungeons in Glitchless low %, sorry if I missed this a second ago, but that you do out of, the canonical order from casual gameplay?
Yeah, so in Glitchless any %, the order is Ice Cavern, Fire Temple, Forest Temple, Water Temple, and then Spirit, and then Shadow. In this run, the beginning part is going to be a little bit switched up. We're doing Forest Temple first, then Ice Cavern, then Water, then Fire, and then Spirit Shadow. So Fire Temple is going to be third, rather than its usual second in a casual playthrough. I am going to pick up these hearts, because having only 3 is scary. So this is going to be our first foray into shieldless gameplay, pretending that we didn't lose our shield briefly in Dodongo's Cavern, much to my own dismay. But also, this is a trick, which hopefully we can get here. This is one of those ones that might make you raise your eyebrow. I just backflipped straight over Mito's head, and I was like using hookshot and stuff, and the camera was all weird. You might be like, well, wasn't that a glitch? It turns out it's not. Mito is just too short, and you can just backflip right over him. The only reason I was using the hookshot was because having the hookshot in your hand prevents the A button from making you talk to him. And a nice little jump up to the top of the maze here, and we're on our way. So Forest Temple is going to be pretty scary. Power crouch stabbing, the technique I was talking about earlier, that allows you to do a lot of fights quickly and easily, requires a shield, and it is so very useful on Stalfos, of which there are 5 in this dungeon, as well as fighting all the Poes, which we're going to need to fight in order to bring the elevator back up from the basement. We're not going to have our shield for any of that, so it has forced us to come up with some other techniques.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
This is a very important question.
Okay.
And it's for me, not the chat.
Answer.
Okay. Which warp song is your favorite?
I think I like Requiem of Spirit the best. Unless we're talking about all possible versions of the warp songs, in which case I really like Serenade of Water because of what they did with it in Twilight Princess.
This is a good answer.
Thank you.
I fluctuate, but I think I'm a Nocturne fan.
That's a good one too.
I didn't have such a fun answer. I'm sorry. You had such depth.
It's okay. I've been asked that question many times on my own stream, so I have an answer prepared. All right, didn't fall off there. Sometimes the collision on these tree branches can be pretty crappy, and you'll just like fall off even though when you intended to jump. Because of course Link jumps automatically when he hits a ledge, but that's relying on things to work as they should, which sometimes they don't.
Okay, more important question that I bet you're not asked that frequently.
All right, let's see.
Which Poe is your favorite, and what is their actual name?
I think I like Meg, mostly because I remember her name.
Why? Because of Bingo?
I don't know, it's the only one I remember ever.
Somebody asked me to say the names of the blue and red Poes the other day, and I was like, nah, I have no idea. I know Meg and Amy, and that's it. Oh yeah, I just learned this recently. It's the sisters from Little Women.
Yeah, I know all of their names, but I don't know which one belongs to which.
Is that a localization thing? Was that Nintendo of America, or is that a decision that's in the Japanese as well?
I'm actually not sure.
Because I'd be curious to know if it's just like Miyamoto's a huge fan of like period piece literature, or if somebody at Nintendo of America was like, LOL guys, look what I did.
The Forest Temple route is so different without Farrer's Wind. You might see me do a couple little like double backs here as I mess with my muscle memory, wrestle with it from Glitchless any %. This room is home to a pretty cool trick. Once we get through all the block pushing, of course.
Apparently, chat confirms that it is in the Japanese version as well.
That's cool.
So somebody on the dev team is a fan.
So the shield is like not only a combat thing. Shield is also really good for stopping your movement on a dime. When Link is moving at like full walking speed and you want to like turn him around, he kind of does these big wide circles when you move the analog stick. It's really hard to stop him on a dime. The shield is great for that. You just like tap the R button one time and he stops moving and you can switch directions instantly. So like when I'm going 90 degrees around these blocks, for example, I'll walk to the corner of the block, tap shield, and then go back the other way to press the other side. And just not having that shield there makes my movement feel so much more awkward. It's not very often you don't have a shield in this game. Basically every single speedrun, all the bingos, everything, you just always have one. And so not having one is a super interesting challenge. It makes you completely rethink how you play.
He said the word, he said challenge.
Eh, would you say that this challenge is approaching? Dude, I'm just a comedy genius.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Here's the thing. Oh my god, that was so close. I somehow didn't roll straight, but then I curved the jump back and still got it.
Nice. You saw Danny do a little thing there where it looked like Link moved in place and turned his angle a little bit. That's called an ESS turn. ESS stands for Extended Super Slide, and the only reason that that is the acronym that's used is because the trick for which ESS was first used, like largely, was an Extended Super Slide. But ESS has now kind of become an acronym that exists in tons of 3D games. But basically, if you hold your control stick just outside of the dead zone, like just outside of the dead zone of the controller, you can turn Link without moving, without taking any steps. It's super useful because you can turn to really precise angles without using C-up.
I want extra deca nuts, and I'm gonna kill this guy for it. Don't usually want extra deca nuts, but in this run I do. That was vines, Link. Normally you grab those, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is also a place where shield usually comes in handy.
No power crouch stabs for you.
Nope. Fun fact.
I never thought about hookshotting the vine instead of the target. That's so smart.
Ooh. Fun fact, red switches are toggle switches. Most people don't know that. If I were to go stand on that red switch again, it would go back up, which is super weird.
The only reason I know that is because I've accidentally pressed it twice.
So yeah, you can raise the water back up in here. It's the only instance of a red switch in the game.
I was gonna ask, isn't it? I think it's the only one.
It's a very common tool used in ROM, in games that people make that are based on this game. All right, so now we're gonna have to go all the way back around because I don't have Farrah's Wind, so we got to do all this over again. Normally, Farrah's Wind would be used a ton in this route. In this dungeon, we use it 3 times just in this dungeon alone.
So I have your, like, the stream you're sending to me up and the GDQ stream up.
Yeah.
And Link climbed 2 differently colored blocks at the exact same time on both screens. So is skipping this Navi text disadvantageous, or is it a glitch?
So you could skip it by just walking around it. Definitely not a glitch. It's just that I'm gonna have to go back through that room more than once. And skipping it multiple times is slower than just getting it once.
Gotcha.
Stalfos, don't do me dirty. What in the heck?
Scary.
What was Joe? You just see that jump? He like jumped sideways.
I did see that. He rotated around you. Yeah, no shield tier is kind of scary.
They're dancing around so much. Put your shield down. There we go. Got into a rhythm. The moment they start slashing you, it's not that bad. But until that point, it's like there's nothing you can do.
It's also one of the few fights in the game where paired enemies have to be beaten on a timer. So if you kill the first Stalfos and then wait too long to kill the second one, the first one comes back.
I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot about that because it never happens in normal games.
Did I just expose myself as being bad?
It just like was not on my radar as a thing that could happen.
I don't think it's happened to me in like 6 years, but I know it's possible because I have done it. This fight without
Got him!
This fight without shield is ridiculous.
It's so silly. Each of those slashes has 2 frames. Gotta get that rhythm. I'm just gonna keep myself topped off on hearts here. Alright, time to pick up the boss key. Even just tiny things, like I'm used to shield drawing my bow, and if I do that right now, the bow will just like come out in hand and I'll lean back like an idiot.
That center pillar in the room that just got turned around, you might have seen Danny moving around it a little bit strangely. There's a Navi text in the center where she tells you about the Wall Masters.
Oh, well, there it is.
Oh, well, there it is.
I think I would not have been able to skip it anyway on the way back up. Someone in chat asks, what's the difference between any percent and low percent? That might be worth just going over again real quick. Any percent means it doesn't matter how much of the game you beat, you just want to get to the end as fast as possible. And low percent means intentionally minimizing how much of the game you complete, even at the cost of time if necessary.
That is a very, very good, concise definition of low percent. I'm applauding you.
Thank you. This dungeon has so much backtracking, it's crazy. No wonder Farah's Wind saves so much. Oops. Alright, let's see if I can get an equally nice battle with the Blue Po, whose name is totally one of Little Women. Small instance of RNG here. You never know which of the pose it's going to be first, but this one's always last because we stand close enough to it to prevent it from ever showing up. Ah, almost. Hey, we did it again. Nice.
Very nice.
There's a heart in one of these, which I want for sure. Thank you.
And Danny obviously does not need the compass, which is the reward for beating the Blue Po. But you do need to beat the Blue Po anyway, because you need all 4 Poes to be beaten to access the basement.
Yep. Alright, there's a trick coming up here that I use my shield for that I'll hopefully be able to get, but I might not. Oh, just barely! Gotta wait for the next one.
I assume you do like a shield stop there?
Exactly, yeah. Without the shield stop, I have to release the analog stick, wait for Link to come to a stop on his own, and then flick to the side. It's definitely a lot harder because the window to get that shot off is already tiny.
Question in chat about Din's Fire. You do need Din's Fire for the Shadow Temple boss key. You don't need Nehru's Love, though.
Yeah, Din's Fire is the only spell that's necessary. And we're going to be skipping Fire Arrows. And the reason why we do Din's Fire over Fire Arrows... Oh, missed that. Is that Fire Arrows do not work on the Shadow Temple boss key. That room where the spiked wooden walls close in on you. Fire Arrows don't burn it for some reason. You just don't. Din's Fire does, though. And it's lucky, because we need Din's Fire to enter Shadow Temple anyway, the easy way. If we had to do the thing where you like shoot arrows through all of the torches outside Shadow Temple, that would be horrible. I do not want to learn that trick. And the only instance of the game where fire arrows are intended to be required is, I think, in Spirit Trial in Ganon's Castle. There's a web on the ceiling. And it just so happens that there's a torch nearby, and the geometry works out that you can just barely shoot it with a regular arrow through the torch. Dang. This one was not so good, but it's alright. We got the first 2 perfectly. even just silly things like hitting pots with your sword is so much harder without a shield. Because they sometimes the pots fall just underneath the horizontal slash hitbox. And so crouch stabbing is just so much better. Alright. Some people do ask me sometimes in my own stream how you know which one is the correct one. It's the one that spins when they appear. Whoops. Someone in chat asks, isn't it faster to hit that Skulltula with a sword and walk past? So, in the first room of that you'll encounter a Skulltula in this dungeon. Oop, just barely got it. You can do that, and it's very easy, and it saves a lot of time. In the other rooms, the more cramped halls, it's still possible, but it's really, really awkward, and it only saves 3 frames. So I avoid it. Especially in this run where I'm trying my best to not take damage. Super fun thing here. The arrangement of the room I want right now is the original arrangement. And rather than pushing it back the 2 times the way I came, it's actually faster to just reload the room by going up and back down. And then I get the original arrangement back.
That's genius.
Faster by 2 seconds.
Not when you miss the side hop, Danny.
True. Probably still faster by a little bit, though. Alright, Phantom Ganon. Definitely the most challenging boss. I have seen players of this game who are like veterans, and they play this game a lot, but they've only done glitch categories where you use the ISG strat here, Infinite Sword Glitch, which makes this fight pretty trivial. It makes most boss fights pretty trivial, in fact. But in Glitchless, this fight's actually pretty hard, and without a shield, it's even harder. So I'm gonna do my best here to pull off a strategy where I'm gonna be using my bow and arrow to shoot at him. And what he'll do is he'll spin his staff to block the incoming projectile. And it just so happens that when he's floating through the air and he's spinning his staff, he's vulnerable to the sword. He's not vulnerable to the sword when he's floating through the air normally, but only when he's spinning his staff. So hopefully I'll be able to shoot my arrow and slash him back down onto the ground repeatedly to be able to do a bunch of damage. Pretty tricky though, so just hope that I get it.
Danny can tell which one is coming out of the painting via 2 things. It makes a more audible sound. It makes a sound. And the horse is lighter.
Got him! That was so good, dude. That was great.
Nice. That fight was really clean, Danny.
That was as perfect as it could be. Really cool. Glad I did that.
GG.
I don't even get the shield version of that strat usually, so the fact that I got the shieldless one is that much cooler.
I would argue that that looks way cooler than the ISG strat.
Oh, definitely.
Don't get the heart. Don't get the heart.
Yeah, the heart's on the other side of the room. So I think for the rest of the bosses, I have no muscle memory for the hearts because I don't usually get them in any
great.
Yeah, so it
Amazing.
should be good. ISG is like, it's such a useful glitch, but it definitely becomes a crutch for fights if you use it too much. Especially like, I've seen people who play this game a lot do glitchless all of a sudden, come to Phantom Ganon and just die because they're not used to it. And it's like, you just have to fight him casually, you know? But it's actually a really challenging fight. It's one of those ones that puts you right back into 1998 and makes you remember that like, dang, this game's hard.
I think Bongo is probably another one that without ISG players might struggle with.
Luckily, by the time we get to Bongo, we'll have the mirror shield, so we'll be able to do crouch stabs, and that's going to be super pivotal for that fight.
The crouch stab timing is pretty wide, that is true.
No, for most bosses, you don't spam crouch stabs at all. They have to be timed, actually. Most bosses have a 2-frame stun lock window. Well, bosses that can be stun locked anyway. For example, Bongo Bongo and Ganondorf.
And Twinrova's second phase.
Twinrova actually is on a timer. You can't stun lock her. She'll just get up after a certain amount of time regardless. It just so happens that that amount of time is long enough that if you just wail on her with crouch stabs, she'll die in one cycle.
Really? Because that's interesting, because I've had not that much success mashing crouch stabs, but a lot of success timing them.
Really?
On that particular boss.
If you're already on the platform where she gets stunned and you start stabbing as soon as possible, mashing should basically be impossible to fail. If you stun her and then jump across, I could see it maybe.
Danny, you didn't have to say impossible to fail. That just makes me feel bad about myself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Listen, we all have different mashing speeds, and that's okay. That's just a fact of life.
You want to have a mashing race?
I'm not that good at mashing one button. Okay, so at the last GDQ I was at, GDQ 2020, I think was the last in-person one I was lucky enough to go. In the game room, there was a button.
There sure was.
There sure was, and the literal only thing that this button did was increment a counter that was sitting next to the button. And of course, as speedrunners, we have to gamify everything. And optimize everything. And so someone made a sheet with pen and paper, and you just, how many times can you press the button in a minute? And that was the whole thing. Just made a game out of it. And I forget what I got, but it was like, I won't even guess what I got. But the person who was at the top was a guy who was very good at Guitar Hero.
It was the Clone Hero runner.
Yeah. And he was like 3 times faster than me or something, and like I'm not slow by any means, so that's just like insane. He has. Do you want to
know how?
It's like you like rake your knuckles across the button or something.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, this is like not that important, but I think it's interesting as far as like mashing technique goes, and I know Danny thinks it's interesting too. But there's a lot of different techniques for mashing buttons fast. The really common one is to just like, bring your thumb up and down on the button as quickly as you can, but then you start to learn that there are maybe some like faster ways to do it than even that. You can be gifted naturally at doing that, and that's great, but there's also the double mash, which is what I prefer, where you bring the controller to and from your thumbs, both of your thumbs.
That's what I do.
Then there is the Clone Hero method, which I did not know about until I watched him do it and was like, oh, this is something else. He puts his hand into like almost a fist-like formation, but extended, and rubs his hand over the button to and fro. And I tried it, and I busted my hand.
It's so painful.
Yeah, the first mashing test at GDQ was at AGDQ 2015. And that was Mash Attack, which is a thing that OmniGamer made, where you could plug in a bunch of different controllers, and there was a leaderboard and everything.
All right, so Ice Cavern coming up. Ice Cavern's pretty dang cool in Glitchless. The only usage of a shield here is blocking getting frozen from some ice keys sometimes. So not having shield isn't too big an issue. Not having magic kind of stinks though, because usually we do a spin attack to kill like all of these guys at once. I'm gonna pick up those bombs in a second here. That was not too bad. Let me get these bombs before they disappear. Bomb drops are pivotal in this category.
I would imagine that Danny, for that swimming mashing, was probably just repeatedly tapping B with your thumb. You don't have to mash that quickly to swim quickly in this game. There's like a hard cap on it anyway.
Yep.
So, you know, even if you mashed like 20 times a second, you'd be going the same speed as someone mashing like 12 times a second. So
yeah, 12 is about where I top out for a single button press. And also,
Same.
like, it's hard to do special mashing techniques when like your grip on the rest of a controller matters also.
Mhm.
You know, like if your only goal is to smash a button a ton of times, then you can do some other things like raking your knuckles across it. But
when you're holding an analog stick, it's just not possible.
Wouldn't be very conducive to actually playing Ocarina of Time.
And Danny, like me, prefers the N64 controller for this game, which is even harder to mash on.
Luckily, the only time mashing in this game really matters is going through text boxes. And the A and B and C up buttons all advance text. I just use A and B personally, and I just alternate them. And if you can just press 2 buttons at 10 times per second alternating, then you have 20 FPS, and there you go. That's frame-perfect text mashing.
I never thought about it in such simple math terms, but that makes complete sense. Oh, this room is amazing in Glitchless. Please enjoy this room, everybody.
And got some keys action over in this corner. Okay. Normally I would do a setup for the angle here, but not necessary. Oh, actually that didn't work for some reason. Oh, I know why, because I was too far away from this corner. There we go. Shieldless stuff is complicated sometimes.
It's interesting that you only use A and B. I use all 3 personally. I don't know, it's like a little just reach up for my pointer finger when I'm mashing A and B with my 2 thumbs.
Oh, missed that. Alright, these guys take ×8 from the back, so just a quick stun and then it's over. Yeah, I find that I can do 20 button presses per second with just A and B, and I just find it more awkward to throw C up in there also. It also interrupts my rhythm, like I can't interleave the button presses as well with 3 buttons as I can with 2.
That makes sense.
Oriel asks if ground jumping is allowed. Nope, ground jumping is not allowed. That counts as a glitch. It's basically grab storage. And generally state manipulation, as like a general term that doesn't really exist, that I totally just made up, is not allowed in this category. There's lots of kinds of state manipulation in this game. There's grab storage, there's ledge storage, there's, you know, sword storage, which is basically what ISG is. All of that kind of stuff is generally banned. Okay, so we're gonna be heading to Water Temple next. Water Temple is awesome. Let me tell you, it's such a cool dungeon in Glitchless in particular. So there are 6 small keys in Water Temple, and casually you're meant to get them all. But we actually only need 4 of them, because this dungeon has some geometry that's so breakable just with like jumping around. You'll see, it's cool stuff. And normally we use Farrah's Wind a lot in Water Temple also. We use it like 3 times. But every single one of those times we're just going back to the main room. So we can sub in save warping and get basically the same effect for a little bit of a time loss.
Ah, beautiful iron boot side hopping.
If I space those correctly, we will land on the ground just before this text box comes up, and that means I can use hookshot during the text box. because the way this works is that the hookshot button has to light up once you land on the ground, but it can't light up during text boxes. So you have to space your side hops just perfectly so that you land in the water with enough speed to sink just fast enough to reach the bottom before the text box shows up. And so here's a technique that a lot of people raise their eyebrows at and say it's a glitch. And you know what? Honestly, it probably is. If you just hold the target button when you equip Iron Boots, you can just keep swimming on the way down. And the impact is so minimal, you literally just can move instead of sinking straight down, that like whether or not it's a glitch, nobody really cares. You know, it's like, it's one of those things that could very well be a feature. We don't know. We won't know until the game has been fully decompiled. However, it does lead to a glitch, an obvious glitch, where if there's a ramp out of water, like a smooth transition from underwater onto land, and you're doing that, you can keep swimming on land. And Link just like ignores the transition from water to land. So that in particular makes me think that swimming with Iron Boots on is probably a glitch, but it's so minimally impactful that nobody really cares to ban it. It's one of those things that was allowed for a long time, and that's a difficulty with Glitchless in general, is that if something is considered to not be a glitch and later on is found to be, you can't really ban it because all the runs on the leaderboard are doing it, you know? So it's one of those things that even if it turns out that it is a glitch and we know for sure, it's not going to be banned just because it's so minimally impactful, and then we have to invalidate all the runs on the leaderboard. No one wants to do that, so we'll just deal with what we got. And that's the thing that we can do. Get this key early. That was the first major trick in this dungeon. Turns out that if you are in the air in this game and you target a wall mid-air, then all of your momentum shifts to be straight into that wall, like perpendicular to wherever you were going. So I targeted the wall on the way down and shifted my side-up momentum forward. And here we are. Okay. No. Shell blades are so annoying, dude, without a shield. Or without magic, even. Because I usually do a spin attack and get all three there. That was funny. Alright, save warp time.
So is this your favorite dungeon in this category?
I definitely think it's the coolest to watch from a perspective of someone who hasn't seen it before, but I think my favorite is Shadow Temple. All right, here's
obviously... Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, that's great. That is wonderful.
No, I failed it. All right, we're gonna have to try again.
That's without a shield.
Yep.
The jump to that ledge there that Danny's trying is much, much, much harder without a shield. Good news is, though, it won't really look like a glitch if you don't have a shield.
True.
But yeah, another thing that everybody probably noticed is that Danny doesn't have the Zora Tunic. That's pretty common for speedruns in this temple. So I don't think that's exclusive to low percent.
Yeah, we skip it normally in Glitchless anyway. Alright, let's try this again. Let's line it up. Oh my goodness. I have to try this one more time. It's definitely a tricky one without the shield. So the reason why shield is useful here is because while you're holding shield out midair, it actually prevents you from using your sword. And it just so happens that while you're on that ledge there, the shield automatically gets put down. And so the only B presses that can go through are the only ones that can work. So without shield, I'm kind of just at the mercy of whatever time I press the button.
There's a question about the magic meter. You do need the magic meter because you need to use Din's Fire.
There we go, we made it.
And you also need to be able to shoot the light arrows to beat Ganondorf.
Yep. This is one of those tricks that's completely unfailable in a normal context, and then the moment you remove the shield, it becomes like really scary. Hey, you got the fast cycle through that room. That's good. Didn't have to use another platform.
Coming up after not too long will be the Dark Link fight. And Dark Link, I've always found, is a really interesting mini-boss, in speedruns specifically. Okay, that is excellent. I'm a big fan of that jump slash.
Yeah, it's cool. It skips a cycle of using this crystal switch.
Typically in a speedrun, not in glitchless or low percent, you would have hover boots here, which trivializes this room. But Danny obviously is doing some pretty clever movement to do this semi as intended. Yeah, so for Dark Link here, Danny is going to be doing this thing. I assume he'll be doing the walk down and to the right and slash your sword. Yeah.
And he's gone.
And fun fact about Dark Link, he has the same amount of health as you have hearts. Or the same amount of hits as you have hearts, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Danny?
Yeah, it is health. So if you use like Big Orange Sword, it'll be fewer hits. But yeah, so I have 3 hearts. He has 6 health, I think, right? So that it's 3 Master Sword slashes.
Yeah.
Master Sword slashes, when you do a side slash like that, they kind of go like over your back left shoulder. So if you just position Dark Link back there, which is where he already respawns every time you hit him, you can just kill him real quick. You know, I gotta say, doing these marathon runs, it's very low stress. I like it a lot because it completely removes the stress of like having to reset every time you make a small mistake.
You might be the first person ever to say, I really like doing these marathon runs. They're really low stress.
I don't know. I mean, like, you know, you're nervous because there's a lot of people watching.
No, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah, but for the most part, you know, it's a showcase, and I want to show off all the cool things. And if I mess one up, then I can just try again instead of having to reset. It's nice.
Certainly. Last night I did Mercy Kill, and that was stressful because if you go over estimate, the run dies.
Oh, there's a dog. Hi, dog. What's up, Milo? That's Milo. He's very cute, and he's very good. Yeah, someone just mentioned in chat, Glitchless takes longer than Hundo. Glitchless any percent takes longer than Hundo also, Hundo being 100%. That's a recent development, though. The new stale reference manipulation glitch is the main reason for that. 100% was longer than Glitchless for the entirety of this game's history, up until just a few months ago.
Is no SRM still slower than Glitchless any percent?
Yes, no SRM I think is 3 hours and 50 minutes, and Glitchless is 3 hours and 39 minutes.
Good. Good. It should stay that way.
It won't, but it should.
Oh, I love this trick. Ugh, see, that's the kind of beautiful movement tech you only get in Glitchless categories.
Now, I did a pretty long setup to like align myself for that, and it's possible to do it setupless. It's not that hard, but it actually doesn't matter in that case because you have to wait for the first boulder to fall out of that hole anyway, and the setup just happens to take exactly the amount of time that you have to wait, so it's perfect. Oops, I should have equipped a bottle there, one of those things that's different from Glitchless any percent. I'm gonna pick up a fairy because Fire Temple's coming up soon, and let me just say, Fire Temple with 3 hearts and no Goron Tunic is kind of terrifying, so we're going to need fairies. Not because I might die by accident, but because we will definitely die on purpose several times. And the reason for that, which might not be obvious, is that the amount of time that you get available to you in hot rooms is, like rooms where there's a heat timer, is equal to the amount of health you have, the number of hearts you have, times 8. So 3 hearts means a maximum of 24 seconds. But if I lose health, then that time goes down. So Morpha is a boss where crouch stabs are useful, but not necessary, and you'll see why.
And we'll be doing a similar thing here. We'll take a small break right after the Morpha fight when Danny starts the post-Water Temple cutscene. Don't worry, you won't be missing anything except a little bit of cutscene and some stuff, but we'll be right back after some ads. We just got to play some ads to keep the show running. But enjoy Morpha.
We actually got lucky here, spawning right at the front corner where I'm going to be shooting from. That's nice. And if you stand all the way in the corner, even though she's so close, still won't be able to reach me, which is good. Cool.
Nice work, nice. That is genuinely not that easy. Danny was spacing out those sword slashes. When you have a shield, you can just kind of crouch stab into infinity and then never fail that. But Danny had to time those because the timing is a lot harder since there's such a big gap in between sword slashes. Nice work.
Thank you. And it's nice because when you slash the boss, it gets sent backwards, and since she's funneled into a corner, she can't go anywhere. So it's super nice, very easy fight. So I guess it's ad break time. We'll see you guys after.
Yeah, so take a moment to stand up. You almost collected that heart.
Yeah,
take a moment to stand up, take a quick break, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GDQ Hot Fix. This is Challenger Approaching. My name is Adef. I'm your host. This is a show where we feature challenge runs and the runners that perform them. You didn't miss anything, just the end of Water Temple cutscene where Sheik tells us about the lake filling with water. And tonight we have Danny B showcasing Ocarina of Time Glitchless low percent, which has been super enthralling so far, so please stick around. Really quickly, I'd like to remind everyone that AGDQ 2021 Online starts in just a few days. It's on Sunday, gamers. So make sure to go to gamesdonequick.com for more information regarding AGDQ 2021 Online. You might even see or hear yours truly, Adef, playing Mario 35 on Saturday night. So be sure to tune in for that and support a great cause in the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So Danny, I think it's important for us again to reiterate for everybody what Glitchless is and what low percent is. And maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So right now we're doing Glitchless low percent, which is beating the game as fast as possible with no glitches allowed, while also low percent meaning trying to minimize the number of items that we collect throughout the run. So anything to do with things that appear in the pause menu, like actual items for C buttons, upgrades, equipment, like shields, tunics, swords, boots, anything on the quest status screen, like gold sculptulas and heart pieces and heart containers. Magic also counts. So we're trying to minimize collecting any of that. And a little bit about me, I guess. I am a speedrunner of this game. I have been for about 7 years now, which I can't believe it's been that long. We're in 2021. And also, Happy New Year, everybody. I don't think we've said that on this show
yet.
Happy New Year, January 1st.
Yeah, thank you for anybody that's here. Thank you for choosing to ring in your first day of the new year with Danny and I here. We're very happy to have you. Happy New Year to all of you. Danny and I both wish you only the best in the new year. And we're starting it off great with AGDQ next week, but rest assured, we all got to have each other's backs this year. So just, I'm thinking positive vibes this year. That's my motto.
So, this is probably the biggest difficulty bump from shield to no shield. It's kind of rough. And in fact, I'm going to change my equips.
Also, I just posted Danny's link back in the chat again. If you wouldn't mind, gamers, following Danny and supporting his content. He streams several times a week. Oh, you're fine, Danny. Everything's going fine. It's all fine. Nice work. You got the first one, no problem. But yeah, follow Danny, regular Ocarina of Time speedruns, and a lot of other fun stuff too, like Mario Kart Double Dash, maybe some Odyssey in the future, Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
So definitely follow Danny B.
So normally when we have a shield, we can do this really cool strat where we wedge ourselves in between one of the corners of the room and one of those torches. In every single room that we fight these guys in, these girls in, they have torches. And if we stand back there and we shoot our hook shot towards the Gerudo girl, she will attempt to dodge it by jumping straight at us, which I'll explain the rest right after this fight.
These fights are pretty scary, largely because if you get hit by the Gerudo guards too many times, you get put in jail. Or it's a certain attack that the Gerudo guard does that can put you back into jail.
So, yeah, so normally I would wedge myself in between that torch and the wall, shoot my hook shot so she jumps at me, and then we'd both be back there. And us both being back there with the torch blocking means that she's stuck and she can't walk anywhere. So kind of just like wedging Morpha into the corner that we just saw, you can wedge her into the corner and just hit her repeatedly with crouch stabs. But that doesn't work without a shield. So you gotta be creative and do things with Deca Nuts and arrows. Use some geometry around here to get to the next one faster.
I am just now realizing that we are in the Gerudo area before we do Fire Temple or Shadow Temple.
Yep.
That's great.
And the reason for that is just because it's kind of close to Water Temple, just minimizing the overworld movement.
And obviously, Danny doesn't have the Lens of Truth. You don't enter Bottom of the Well, I almost said Breath of the Wild, at all in this category. And so Danny will be navigating the wasteland without the Lens of Truth. He also doesn't have magic yet, so that wouldn't even be an option. That spin attack that the Gerudo guard did is the attack that causes you to be put in jail. So when she does the big wind-up, that means that bad is what it means.
Bad things happen if you get caught by that. Luckily, it's pretty easy to avoid. Says the guy who got caught in his practice run. But we won't talk about that. You guys didn't hear that.
Yeah, this is the real deal.
Yeah. Someone asks in chat, how do you do Decatry and Spirit Temple without a shield? I'm only skipping the Hylian shield. I had the Deca shield as Child Link because it is required for beating the Deca Scrubs before Goma. So that's how I did that. And then I will have the Mirror Shield later. Alright, didn't get caught by any of them. That's good. If I had, I would have been sad. Running low on both Deca Nuts and arrows, but we should be good on those later. So normally, what I would do after this, we're gonna get Gerudo card, and we're gonna go open the gate to the Wasteland. Normally, of course, you'd go through the Wasteland, and you'd go to Spirit Temple, you'd learn Requiem of Spirit, so that Child Link could head over there too. We're not going to do that. We're going to skip Requiem of Spirit entirely. So then the question is, how will Child Link get to Spirit Temple? And I'll leave that question for later, when we do it.
Teleports. He teleports. That's my answer. He teleports.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you teleport. You use the king of all glitches, and you just teleport, and then you don't tell anybody in your glitchless run. I hope that nobody notices.
I mean, that checks out.
All right, time for, I guess, it's time for this. Time for.
It's time for. I guess it's time for this.
Yeah, time for Fire Temple, but we don't have Bolero, so we're gonna play Minuet. Listen, this route is so foreign to me. It's so weird.
It was very funny.
Yeah, I'm having trouble keeping it straight. I actually have notes here to keep my head in the game, because it's just. For anyone who does any speedruns or plays music or anything that involves muscle memory, fighting against muscle memory is one of the hardest things you can do. Your brain, you can be consciously saying over and over again, don't do the thing, don't do the thing, don't do the thing, and then your hands are just like, all right, buddy, I'm gonna do it anyway, I don't care what you say. It's very hard. So, I am fighting lots of muscle memory here. Let's see if I can get some arrows, that's good.
So will you be doing, I assume since it's low percent, you have to skip anything you can skip. You'll be skipping the Goron Tunic.
That is correct. That was not arrows, but it's okay. Alright, so we're headed up and out right now. I need to go to Death Mountain Crater. I also need to get magic. So we're going to take Death Mountain Trail route here. I cannot go through the Darunia's throne room there because it's not open. The only way to open that is to get the Goron Tunic. And the only way to get in there without Goron Tunic is to do a clip out of bounds, which is definitely banned. So we are going to go the long way. And everybody's favorite ledge here. Hey, he jumped the first time. That ledge is so annoying. Probably about half the time that you try to jump there, Link just is like, my legs are tired, and he just falls. He just does not jump at all.
I'm sure there's genuine knowledge regarding that ledge, but I have no desire to know it. I just want to live in this Schrodinger world where I either get it or I don't.
Oh, I can tell you why, if you're curious.
Alright, I'll bite. I'll bite.
There is a slope directly under the ledge.
Mmm.
Don't hit me. Okay. There's a slope directly under the ledge that like kind of slopes very gently off to the right, like in the direction of the ledge. And so when you leave the ledge, it depends on your spacing. So let's say, you know, the frame right before you leave the ledge, you're right before the ledge, like as close as you can possibly be. That means the next frame you're going to be very far off the ledge, which means that the slope underneath you is going to be very far down, and Link is going to recognize that he is not on the ground anymore, and he should be jumping. But if you're spaced further back, so the last frame you're on the ground is far away from the ledge, and your first frame off the ground is only barely off the ledge, the fact that there's a slope underneath you means that there's ground very close underneath you, and Link will not jump.
Did everybody take notes?
Yeah. It's that'll be on the quiz later.
Oh, Mr. Bamonde.
Yeah, you got it. You nailed
Did
it.
Did I actually get it?
Bamondi.
Oh.
Close enough.
I realized while I started doing the bit that I had never said it out loud.
Someone asked what controller I'm using. I'm using a N64 controller.
Is that
and white on the back, clear, both sides. And I'm also using a steel stick.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's delightful. I'm very happy for you.
It is 3 years into the steel stick, and it is still in perfect condition.
I really genuinely wish I had one.
All right, so Fire Temple time. We need to get there without learning Bolero of Fire, which, you know, isn't necessarily obvious how we might do that. So we're going to go this way, which is not the way to Fire Temple. However, then we're going to go this way, which totally is the way to Fire Temple. And that's why we did Water Temple first, because we needed a long shot.
Happy Bolero skip.
And we're in there.
So Fire Temple is actually pretty spooky, due specifically to the heat timer. And Danny has incredibly low health, which makes it even scarier. And Danny's only allowed one bottle, so only one fairy at a time. And I'm very intrigued to see how this goes.
So we're going to need 2 fairies in total. We're going to need one very early on in the dungeon. There's that big room with all the lava in it, followed by the room with the block elevator on the fire geyser. Those 2 rooms are both lava rooms, and they both have a heat timer, and the timer carries over between the rooms. So we're going to need a fairy to get through there, because we only have 24 seconds.
Yeah, so as compared to typical Goron Tunic skip in Glitchless any %, the big difference is the number of hearts. So Danny would typically have 6 hearts here for Glitchless any %, and instead he only has 3.
However, with a fairy, I effectively have 6, which makes it kind of the same. I just gotta make sure that I don't make any mistakes. And I still need the key in this room, but I need to refresh the timer.
Yeah, the only reason this is doable is because in the Fire Temple, the only rooms with heat timer are the rooms that have lava in them.
Which is an interesting design choice, if you ask me, because if they wanted the tunic to be required, then it wouldn't matter how many rooms they put the timer in, you know? You could just put it in all.
I mean, so anybody in their casual playthrough is almost certainly going to get the Goron Tunic because it opens the traditional path.
Yeah.
To Fire Temple, but maybe they were like cool with the idea that if you got there by non-conventional means, that was okay. Or it just didn't matter to them at all, and they just thought it was neat that you needed to have it in the lava room. I don't know.
Who knows? Nintendo is an enigma.
You can quote Danny on that.
So, not only do I have to be fast through these lava rooms, but throughout the whole dungeon, I have to keep up my health, because not the number of heart containers, like your heart potential, but the number of hearts you actually have at the moment, your HP, is what determines the timer length. So I have 3 hearts right now, which means I get 24 seconds, 8 seconds per heart. If I take damage, then that number goes down for the next time I enter a hot room. So I have to be very careful. Oh.
Chad actually brings up a good point. They said that you could lose the Goron Tunic to a like-like.
You could, but
then you can buy it.
It would still count for low percent.
I'm saying it in casual play.
Right, that makes sense. That's true.
Yeah, you can lose the Tunic to a like-like in the Sculptural rooms. Yeah, I think like-likes is a pretty valid reason for the heat timer change. Plus, you almost certainly have more than 3 hearts, but, you know. Anyway. Ooh, the heart drop stayed. Yeah. So, there are different kinds of loading zones in Ocarina of Time, and the loading zone that Danny went through to that Goron room was not one that changed the like, everything that was loaded. This is a very bastardized way of explaining this, but basically, it wasn't a proper loading zone, it was just a room change. So the hearts stayed.
I'm going to slash my sword to put out these flames. When you die in a hot room, the flames stay on your body for a while, which is kind of mean, to be honest. All right, so with a fairy, that's comfortable as long as you don't make any big mistakes. And now we have no other scary timer parts until the boss. Every other lava room is very small. In fact, there's only one other lava room. Nice way to skip that block puzzle.
It was always really interesting to me that the like fence things on the walls in Fire Temple can't be hookshotted.
Yeah, the ladders, fences, basically everything in this game, it's a total crapshoot whether or not it's hookshotable. There are things that are made of metal that are hookshotable. There are things that are made of wood that are not hookshotable. Everything in between. It's pretty strange. I don't know why. There's just no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, so that block skip earlier that Danny did in the prior room is just a jump. It's just a clever position and angle. There's no glitch involved in that trick.
Yeah, so I guess we haven't really talked about like the ethos behind Glitchless in general. We talked about the two different kinds of Glitchless earlier. But so the concept of Glitchless is like, the question you need to ask yourself is, are you adding a new mechanic to the game, sort of, right? Like, with Infinite Sword Glitch, your sword is swinging on every frame. That's something that doesn't ever happen in normal gameplay. It's not a built-in game mechanic. You're like adding that on top of the game. And however, like, if you can just skip something because you jumped there, like that's using normal game mechanics to accomplish something unintended. And that's totally fine. That's what Glitchless is using normal game mechanics to potentially unintended results.
Yeah, a very interesting way to sum that up that I really like was posted in chat. Glitchless does not equal dev intended.
Exactly.
It's a very, very succinct way of saying that. Just because it's not something the developer intended does not mean it's a glitch.
And in fact, that's like the beauty of video games in general, you know? It's like, developers put this path for you, they lay out this path, and they say, all right, here's how we want you to do it, here's how we expect you to do it. But they also give you all of these tools in terms of your gameplay and your movement options and your items. And playing games in a way that suits your own preferences is awesome. And you can come up with so many cool strategies and like so many ways that, you know, the developers would never think of because they're not millions of people playing their game. When millions of people play a game, you're going to come up with lots of cool stuff.
As someone that has worked in QA, I can tell you there is no feasible way to know everything in the game. Like every possible glitch, trick, exploit, etc. If you had a QA team of 7 billion people, heck yeah, your game would be perfect. But it's just not the case.
If you had a QA team for 7 billion people that worked on the game for 25 years, it would be perfect.
Yeah,
We're still
exactly.
discovering new stuff in this game all the time, and there's so many people who play this game and glitch onto this game, so many really smart people who already know so much, building on top of the foundation that already exists. Oh yeah, these fire things, you know, they exist.
Yeah, you just roll over them. You can also side hop over some of these. And also, I mean, while we're on the topic, I think it's always just kind of important to just like say this, you know, this is sort of more of the philosophy of speedrunning, I guess, but it's something I think is interesting. Like, it's pretty arbitrary, right? Like, a speedrunning in and of itself is just a hobby that people have decided to do, and putting a timer on it is arbitrary, doing splits is arbitrary. Like, a definition of what a glitch is really just up to the community at the end of the day. Yeah,
and you know, we've done our best. There's been a lot of talks and discussions and votes and like really in-depth stuff determining what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. Everything that is allowed has a justification. Everything that isn't has a justification. There's disagreements, of course, but we always go by majority rule if we can. Oops, missed that guy. There's another one where shield is nice and useful. So there's a lot of thought put into these rule sets. And
yeah, you want to try to be objective, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we do our best. And we always try to include as much prior knowledge about the game as we can. to make it so that if we do have to explain it to somebody, they're like, oh, okay, I can see that. Even if they still disagree, because that's going to happen.
You want to hear my ridiculous speedrunning opinion for Ocarina of Time?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is not an opinion I hold anymore. This was an opinion I held in 2012.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
So I started running this game in 2012, and I really liked 100%. And I didn't start doing that really until 2013, but I was of the opinion that you had to do the trials for 100%. I was like, why don't you have to do the dungeons, why don't you have to do the trials? And then Slask was like, nothing changes when you do the trials. There's no inventory change. And I was like, so? So Danny there just did a clever jump here to get to the switch from the top. It's like deceptively stupid getting to this Song of Time block. Once you know where to jump, obviously it's not hard and you should never fail it. But casually, like, you're supposed to go all the way around, I believe.
I was supposed to get that key earlier, actually, from the room with the fire maze. Something that I just did, which some of you may have noticed, I did a jump slash with the hammer through the Song of Time block, and I hit a switch that was underneath the block. And of course, you're supposed to see that block and move it, and then hit the switch when you can see it. But you don't have to. And the reason why that's allowed, and it's not considered a glitch, is because there are several times in this game where something that you're meant to be hitting with a sword or something is behind a wall. Whoops. And that wall will be like clear. It'll like be metal bars, but really it's just an untextured wall. And you're supposed to be able to use your sword to slash through the barrier in order to hit the thing. There's a couple of those in Water Temple. There's one in Spirit Trial. So because that concept exists as an intended part of casual gameplay, we say that, you know, going through walls... Oh my gosh, this thing without a shield is so annoying. The sound he...
I'm sorry for laughing.
It's funny. The sound he makes is like... It almost like he's mocking me. He's like, wow.
Wow.
What do we got there?
I think a lot of people don't know about the various ways you can get the Flare Dancer out of the, like, dancing phase.
You can do so many things. The Hammer Earthquake works. You can throw a bomb at it. You can
hook shot
it out. Lots of things. So what's coming up next is the boss. I'm gonna need another fairy to do it. I'm actually gonna save the game real quick right here because it's possible to die. Actually, let me save after I get the fairy. That's probably a better idea.
Yeah, the timing is pretty tight on Volvagia. Here's a question. Are the quick kills allowed?
Yes.
That is fantastic.
We'll
okay,
see.
so I can start explaining that now if you would like.
Sure, go ahead.
So Volvagia's hitbox, when she is in the phase where it's like whack-a-mole, is always present in the front hole. And so Danny is going to try to use explosives, and by try I mean likely succeed, to damage Volvagia over and over and over again, never doing so much damage that she goes into her flying phase. Or never taking too long in between hits for her to go into her flying phase.
Also, this is worth mentioning. Whoops. Let's put away our sword here. You can just jump to here. You don't need to hit that pillar down from above.
But only from the side. You have to be all the way in the corner.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this is probably one of the most impressive bosses in Ocarina of Time speedrunning in any category, but especially here, I think it's going to be really interesting. So this is definitely worth watching.
And it works for the same reason that jump slashing through that Song of Time block works. There's a barrier here, the floor, And there's something behind the barrier, which is Volvagi's hitbox, and bombs can reach it. So because sometimes there are places in the game where you're supposed to be able to hit things through barriers, you can do it even where they didn't want you to.
That's a better explanation.
Okay.
So Danny quickly hits Volvagia with the hammer without hitting her again when she's vulnerable to go and do more bomb placements. All of this is intentional, and it's actually a very specific route around the fight. Again, he's not going to hit her. He's whittling down her health with the bombs until she's at health where he can kill her with one jump attack. What was that?
I might die. I think I messed up.
Did you save?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll see if I can get this bomb off. Oh, all right. Had to do an extra bomb after I stunned.
Yeah, wow, that was really close. That is definitely worth a GG. That final bomb there, so Danny was just one explosive short. And you have to plant the bomb in the bottom left of that like octagon, otherwise the hitbox doesn't hit properly. That was great. Danny, nice work.
Very close.
Yeah, that was also incredible knowledge to know you needed one more bomb.
I'm gonna stand on the edge here, so I'm gonna take lava damage. All right.
Nice. Deathless Fire Temple. Well, deathless in the sense. Yeah, you knew what I meant.
All right. So that is the end of Adult 1. We're gonna be heading back to Child section here, so we can do Child Spirit Temple. And I mentioned earlier, there's a question how we're gonna get there, because normally Requiem of Spirit is how you get there, and we skipped that in low percent. So there's gonna be some cool stuff happening here.
Are you about to... Will there be a bird involved?
A bird? No birds.
No birds?
No birds.
Is
I'm
there
actually
a bomb?
very interested in what you mean. Please elaborate.
Getting to Spirit Temple is Child?
Oh, there's a bird involved. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, how are you going to do this without a bird?
So I was, at the moment you said bird, I was like, owl? Owls? No, there's no owls involved here.
No, he's going to do one of the most infamous, oldest tricks in Ocarina of Time.
There are birds.
That's the trick. There are birds. Nice. Yeah, Cuckoo Jump is a very old trick. Years and years and years and years and years ago. Yeah, after you said there was no birds, I was like, is there a bomb damage boost or something? You can't even do damage boosts in this category.
Yeah, there is a damage boost, but it's not, not allowed in this one.
So I assume you play, like, oh, you're going to save warp. Smart. Yeah, I'll let the routing gods take this one.
So I just started recently playing on a setup with upgraded graphics. Ooh, 2-frame backflip there to not read the altar. I am upscaling this game into 1080p right now. Previously, I had been playing on 480i, which is like the worst possible output on the Wii. I was streaming to my poor viewers in 480i for 6 years. I finally invested in all the stuff I needed to upgrade to upscale the game. So you guys are lucky. You guys get to see it when it looks nice.
Gamers in the chat are talking about the Uber challenge. I thought if I brought it up, no one would know what it was. But yeah, the Uber challenge is...
Resurgence just recently in the...
Did it really?
Where people were doing it for memes.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. Yeah, no, I only know about it from like... Oh, that was probably 11 years ago? 10 years ago? I saw someone do the Cuckoo Jump and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to play this game. That's okay.
Someone asks if save warp is considered a glitch. The answer is no. Saving the game.
It's an intended mechanic.
Yeah, saving the game and then starting off somewhere else is very much supposed to be what happens.
The Uber challenge is a very old Ocarina of Time challenge. I don't know how old it is. I feel like mid-noughts, maybe? Like, definitely in the 2000s. And it was a series of restrictions on an Ocarina of Time playthrough, and a series of things you had to do, and the Cuckoo Jump was one of them. And it was regarded to be very, very, very difficult at the time. 2006, okay.
Now, our concept of what is considered difficult has certainly evolved over the years, but I'm not going to say how easy it is, because if I fail, I will look very silly. So let's just keep up the thought that it's really hard. It's probably the hardest trick in the whole game. There's nothing harder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but actually, the problem with it is not that it's hard, but it's that failing it is a real tragedy, because you fall all the way down into the Gerudo Valley, and then you get washed up in Lake Hylia. So, you know, it's a big time loss if you fail it. Quick pit stop for Din's Fire, the only spell we will use, and the only one of two sources of magic that we will use. The other one being light arrows.
Question in chat about seam walking and glitchless. I think you can seam walk, but you can't go out of bounds.
That's correct. So anything that you can walk on is fair game. However, that goes away if you are beyond the bounds of the map. And what we consider out of bounds in this game, for the purposes of glitchless, is anything where you have open access to, like, the world void, where if you just fall forever and void out at the bottom of the map. If it's not like a black void that's intended to be part of the map that you can void out in, like in dungeons and things, then and you have access to it, then you're out of bounds.
I really like that definition, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely like out of bounds is sort of, you have to ban out of bounds in glitchless, because there are ways to get out of bounds that don't involve glitches. Some of them very easy, like seam walking right up here to get onto that green mountain.
Right.
That's very easy. And it's literally just walking. So is that allowed? And there's some places where you can be technically out of bounds but not having done any glitches that are really, really, like, they hurt the route a lot. Like, for example, you can do early Shadow Temple with just a damage boost, and then you can just skip Forest Fire and Water Temples, which nobody wants, you know? So we say, like, we have to ban out of bounds.
I really like that definition specifically because it leaves no room for arbitration. Like,
yep.
That's it. They're like, it's succinct, it's to the point, and it. Oh, I'm a big fan. I don't know I'd like its autograph. I don't know what I can say.
We've spent so long talking about all the ways we can make this rule set as clean as it can possibly be, as self-consistent as it can possibly be. A lot of thought has gone into this, so it's always cool to explain it to people who are new to it. Also, say hello to Running Man. He's up there in the corner of the screen, taking a jog.
The chat pops off every time Milo walks behind you.
Hey, Milo, buddy. How's it going?
Question in the chat, is this category very reset heavy?
Yeah. I mean, if you say I don't run this category really at all. I run Glitchless any percent a lot, which is similar. And if you consider them to be similar enough, then I'd say I finish 1 out of every 15 of my attempts. Let me focus on this and I'll talk more about this. So here's Cuckoo Jump. Here's how we're going to get there to Spirit as Child without Requiem.
So Danny's going to line up in a specific place, and then there are a few frame-perfect movements he's going to do in order to jump off of a peg and grab the fence just over the top of it, and then jump slash to it. So I'm gonna shut up now. Nice.
We're through.
I've never seen that specific setup for the turnaround frame, but it's great.
Yeah, it gives you 3 frames to jump slash, which is nice.
Danny! Was that a glitch over that box, Danny?
It totally was, yes.
I saw you teleport. I saw you teleport, Danny.
You did say that we're going to get to Spirit Temple via teleporting, so I had to pull it off for you.
That's true, and nobody can debate that. But yeah, Cuckoo Jump is really cool. Both the frame in which Danny turned off of the peg and the frame in which Danny jump slash, both of those were frame perfect.
Actually, jump slash was 3 with that setup, which is super nice.
So the jump slash was 3 frames. Yeah, so the jump slash is 3 frames. And I said that.
Also, nice quicksand that you can literally just walk over. How cool is that?
Yeah, you can only walk over to child at this, like, in this direction, and then you quickly side hop to avoid void out plane. Danny's going to be navigating the wasteland without the Lens of Truth, like I said earlier. And so this first part is intended to be done without the Lens of Truth, obviously. Fun fact for you Ocarina of Time fans out there. If you do a spin slash, the sand will clear for a little bit as the screen darkens and you can see a little bit better. I still use that. But yeah, so now Danny is going to do some precise movement. The walls for the void out plane in the wasteland are really jagged. And the Poe takes you on a certain path, and basically Danny's kind of recreating a version of that path, because following the Poe is not necessary. You just have to not hit any of the void out walls. And this is kind of a trial by fire for any new Ocarina of Time speedrunner. You gotta learn how to do this.
And something else to mention is that the Gerudo Gate was open, which it usually isn't.
Because of Paradox.
Yeah, I opened it as adult, and it's just also open as child now, which is weird, but, you know, that's just how it works. So that's how you get to Spirit Temple as child without the Requiem of Spirit. I have a weird angle. Also,
I'm happy for you.
Fast as child, and they literally can catch up to you while you backwalk. This is probably my least favorite enemy in the game. Levers are terrible. Whoever came up with the idea for levers, you are evil. Just want to tell you that if you're here in chat. Low chance, but you know. Also, I need to not die.
What about big levers?
Big levers are weird. I don't know if I like them too much. Also, we have a shield again. Yes, fantastic. This conversation is pretty interesting. It's one of the few times that your text choices actually matter. Every text choice, or almost some of the text choices, will get you to the end of the conversation anyway, but slower. So you have to be on your toes to choose the correct choices to get to the end as fast as possible.
There are big versions of a lot of enemies in this game. The ones most people see casually are big stall children. That's pretty common to see, but once you kill a certain number of enemies in one area of a certain type, big ones will start to spawn.
Yeah,
so there are
levers.
Yeah, there are big gways and big levers. The first time I saw a big gway, I didn't know. I was confused. I was hurt.
Alright, so I usually have a Hylian shield here, which is why my muscle memory just told me to go to the shield page, even while I was talking about not having it.
The gways are the bird enemies, so not geese, because they're birds, not bats.
So, yeah, the reason I mentioned Hylian shield is I have to be careful to not burn. Though there is a backup shield and treasure chest right here in this room. If I were to need it, but hopefully I won't.
Oh, that's a lovely boomerang strat.
Our first usage of magic in a whole run here. Although I guess I did do some spin attacks in Fire Temple. Oh no, he hit me. But he hit me during the cutscene. So the fire just goes away.
That's fortuitous.
Yeah, if you do the right movement, that'll happen every time. It's pretty cool. Usually doesn't matter, because usually you have Hylian shield here, but it does matter in low percent. Otherwise I had to pick up that backup shield. Do I need bombs? I don't think I do, but I'm gonna pick up this box just in case. Pretty quick to do so. You can bait Skullwaltalas into moving towards you and then stopping, because they only continue to move while you're moving.
I often forget they're called Skullwaltalas.
It almost feels try-hard to call them that.
It feels dumb. I'm just gonna say it. Oh man, he said it. But if we're gonna call those tentacle things
Tailsporan.
yeah, there you go. Then we better call those things Skullwaltalas, not Skullwaltalas.
Well, I got double heart or triple heart drops from both of those. That's cool.
That is really not that common.
It's a 1 in 256 chance. Also, I moved to the shield page again in the pause menu, so I could equip the Deca shield that I already have on, because I never got rid of it.
Look at this guy knowing probabilities.
It's pretty useful to know the drop chances for a lot of items in this game, particularly stuff like bombs and fairies. Or rupees if you run any percent.
Yeah, but
in this game you can you need to get like a 14% chance to get 7 rupees quickly from a bunch of bushes in Kokiri Forest, or else you cannot get the world record. It's very annoying to grind, but somehow I did it like 1,000 times.
There's a question in chat about bomb chews. Are they required?
Yes, for exactly one thing. 1 second.
This fight is kind of scary.
So keep in mind how easy that is with power crouch stabbing, because as adult we're going to have to fight one without a shield right before we get the mirror shield, and you'll see how different it is. So yeah, bomb chews. Bomb chews are a thing that seem optional, usually, and then there's exactly one place where you need to use them, and that is in Spirit Trial in Ganon's Castle. There's a switch that is like far beyond a wall, and there's a hole in the top of the wall that you need to send a bomb chew through. It's literally the only place in the whole game where you need to use a bomb chew. And it's actually possible to shoot the bow and arrow through the wall if you get really close to it. You can kind of like put your arms through the middle of the wall. But that is considered a glitch.
Well, good news, the bomb chews are right there.
We actually just got some in Child Spirit Temple, so we won't need to get the ones in Spirit Trial.
Good news, you already have the bomb chews.
Yep. The reason we get them here instead of Spirit Trial, aside from the fact that it's just a little bit faster, but they also come in handy for speed in Shadow Temple. We can use some bomb chews for some cool things. But yeah, in unrestricted glitchless, you can use a damage boost to skip trials entirely. So you can skip bomb chews in low percent if you were doing the unrestricted rule set. That is the boomerang, not the ocarina. All right.
It's been a while, so after you say the thing you were about to just say, why don't you do a little plugster, do a little plug of yourself. Let us know what you do, where we can find you.
Sure. I am Danny. I do glitchless Ocarina of Time speedruns on my channel. That's what I'm working on currently. For the most part, I just play everything involving Ocarina of Time. I do every category. Glitchless is my current project. I'm also, every Sunday, we're doing the Ocarina of Time Championship Series has been happening, the 3rd season of it. This cool series where the race goals are completely unknown to the racers right until the race starts. And there's some really cool and knowledgeable race organizers who have been working very hard to come up with cool challenges for us. And there's a leaderboard for the whole season, and you get points based on your placement in each race. So that's been happening every Sunday. It'll pick up back up again after GDQ. Awesome Games Done Quick next week. And in the future, I'm thinking I'm going to be trying out some new games on my channel, some new speedruns. Mario Odyssey is first on my list, I think. I've been dabbling a little bit on the side with that. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Glitchless is my main focus right now. I'm shooting for a 3-hour and 38-minute time in that category. I currently have the record. I actually just set a new record 2 days ago. So it's an exciting time on my channel. Now we got a long cutscene here. Which I actually may use this cutscene to use the bathroom real quick. This is a really nice spot.
Well, then you know what? Why don't we go ahead and do our ad break if we can? Production.
Press any buttons whatsoever.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna
speed run my bathroom break, and I will be right back.
Sure. So I think we can also use this opportunity.
I cannot hear you because I took off my headphones.
Okay.
So I will see you guys in 1 minute, starting right now.
Okay. Well, if it's only 1 minute, never mind. Maybe not. We'll wait. Well, now I have the chat captive. Hey guys, you know what would be a really good joke? Like a great joke. A joke that would be so funny that it'd just be so funny. I'm looking at Danny B's follower count, and currently it says 19.2 thousand followers. Wouldn't it be funny if he just, like, had 20,000 when he came back from the bathroom? Only, like, 800 people in the chat need to follow him for that to happen. Wouldn't that be a funny joke? Just go to twitch.tv/DannyB and just, oh, I don't know, gosh darn it, just drop a follow. Wouldn't that be a funny joke? I think it's really funny, and you should probably do it.
Made it back just in time. Now the hard part is getting my headphones back on while I have to mash text box.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can, hello.
We didn't do a joke, I promise.
Oh, okay. No, I see that in chat. I did not do the hand wash skip. It saves a lot of time, but it's better if you don't.
Especially in the current era, I would say hand wash skip is ill-advised.
True.
Yeah, we did a funny joke. It's a funny joke. I'll let you know if it pans out.
Okay, good.
Chat, remember, you gotta keep your end of the bargain here so that we can complete the funny joke.
I'm very curious now.
Oh, right. I mean, there's no joke.
Of course, of course.
Sorry.
Oh, I don't have Requiem. That's right. We have to walk there.
Did you play it?
I did. Totally played it.
Excellent.
I was like, whoa, did I forget it? And then I realized that, you know, you're just not supposed to have it at all.
This is why it's a challenge run, everybody, because you gotta not play the song. Alright, I'm seeing a lot of people saying they did their part for the joke. I'm pleased. Even if the joke doesn't fully complete, it's still worthwhile. Because it's like a half joke. And the half joke is still very funny to me. And,
when will the payoff be?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you to everybody in chat who's doing their part for the joke. Remember, it's a joke.
Doing my best to do inverted cam backwalks here for the memes.
That's a glitch, Danny.
Such a glitch.
Danny is targeting, turning around, and then retargeting 5 frames later. It's a certain amount of frames.
You have to press target for 2 frames, hold down for 3 frames, and then the camera does that for some reason.
Add 2 and 3. What's that mean? 5.
5. True, but it has to be a particular rhythm.
Yes. The glitch is, you might find you will try to backwalk in Majora's Mask, and you'll just do that glitch on accident all the time.
Normally you need long shot here, and we did need long shot the first time through, but now the bridge is fixed. It's not very often you actually get to use the bridge in a speedrun.
All right, the joke is looking very good. We have made very solid progress on the joke. I'm very, very pleased.
Okay. I'm excited to see what the joke turns out to be.
Like, Danny. It actually is funny to me now because it's wild. Oh, Twitch chat, you make me smile. This is delightful.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Needs to go a little further. I was standing like a pixel too far away from the box. If pixels make sense in 3D.
I thought for a second maybe you'd figured out the joke, and I didn't want that to happen.
Oh, okay. No, I'm totally in the dark on the joke.
Hey, Railcoon, could we get a joke percent timer maybe somewhere on the stream?
A joke percent timer?
It's okay if not, but I think we should give chat 30 more minutes to do the joke. Yeah, there's no joke, but if we were doing a joke, you have 30 more minutes.
Okay.
To do the joke. And the best part about the joke, again, and it doesn't exist, but the best part about the joke is that even if the joke doesn't fully make us go ha-ha, we'll still go ha, and it will still be worth it.
Okay.
If you catch my drift.
One ha is better than no ha's.
All I'm saying is, with the amount of people currently watching, the joke wouldn't be that hard.
Alright, so Spirit Temple is the last dungeon that we're going to need to do shieldless. Thank goodness, I'm so happy about that. We're going to pick up the Mirror Shield with a small trial of a Iron Knuckle in between, and then we will be doing mostly normal glitchless any percent stuff from here to the end of the run, aside from just trying to make sure that I don't die because I only have 3 hearts. Ah, there's a boulder.
Joke is getting good. Okay. The joke is getting very good. Oh, I have too much power. I have too much power.
You're ha-haing already. You can't ha-ha too early.
Oh no, it's not a joke, Danny. It's not a joke.
Okay.
I'm laughing at something else. We should also talk about the game for a second. Danny, this room, tell us about it.
There's not much to say in this room, but there's a pretty cool thing to say in the next room. Also, the Floor Master actually just got stuck behind the mirror, which has literally never happened to me before, and it's awesome that it did, because I didn't lose a heart.
Wait, he always moves to the left?
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you.
That was weird. Alright, I'm going to try to do a thing here. I sort of messed up the positioning a little bit, but I'm going to try to do it anyway because it's cool. Normally I would do a setup to do this fast, but let's see if I can get this. And oh, just barely in front of the chest. You can long shot right across the hands during the cutscene if you nail it perfectly. But the weird movement there prevented me from getting it.
Hey, Danny, can you do me a big favor?
Sure.
If you have a second, can you take out the headphones or just deafen yourself on Discord for a second so that I can tell people what the joke is who are new?
Yeah, give me like 2 seconds.
Of course. No. It's on your time. Whenever you are comfortable. This is not that important.
Okay.
Okay, and we have the joke percent timer. I will explain what that timer means. Okay. Danny's muted. Okay. Hello, I'm Adef. Hi. The big joke is very haha funny is that you're going to go to twitch.tv/DannyB right now and follow him if you're not already following. Because the joke is he's only 400 followers away from 20,000. And wouldn't it be funny if he just looked at his follower count and it was suddenly 20,000? Go to twitch.tv/DannyB. You have 30 minutes. I don't know. If you get him to 20,000, I'll do something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But you have 30 minutes on joke percent. All right, cool. Also, I don't know how to tell him to unmute. It's a very funny haha joke, and don't spoil it, but go follow him.
Alright, I'm no longer deafened.
Excellent. Welcome back. We were just talking about how funny the joke is. Sorry, I mean, there's no joke.
Right. So that was the last thing I needed to do shieldless. It was a doozy. Normally you just run up on that iron knuckle and stab it from right underneath the axe. But had to do something else because no shield is horrible. But now we have one. So the scary parts are over.
Wow, the funny joke is getting very close to being very funny.
Alright, let's see here. I need these things and the mirror shield. I can finally wear a shield as adult.
Yeah, first of all, Danny, nice work on the Iron Knuckle fight with no shield.
Thank you.
It's actually pretty scary. You die in one hit to every attack, I think?
Yes. Any damage from that Iron Knuckle would have been right back to the beginning of the dungeon.
Link's back is protected.
Yes. Coming up is the boss key room, and it is possible to get this boss key without doing like the whole puzzle. It's surrounded by a ring of fire, and after you take damage in this game, you are invincible to further damage for a couple seconds. So you can kind of just take damage, then run up on the fire, and just open the chest while standing in the fire. It's allowed in the unrestricted glitchless category, but banned in this one. Using invincibility frames to bypass puzzles is not allowed in this category. So, had to do the puzzle room, but it's a cool room anyway. Lots of fun aiming.
Can I come clean about something?
Go for it.
I haven't seen that room done legit in probably a decade.
The eye switch behind the fake door is pretty neat because you're supposed to have to bomb it. But if you shoot it once, it like triggers the door to like do its smack attack on you. And then while it's doing that, you can shoot again and get the thing on the other side.
Yeah, the joke is from where we started at the start of the joke. Haha, very funny. I believe we have done 75% of the joke.
Sick.
And this is a not joke, by the way, Danny.
Okay.
But if it were a joke, it is quantifiable.
Well, let's just get this magic while I'm here. Normally I would wait to get that magic in Shadow Temple, but I wanted health.
Oh my god, it's so close. It's so close. Do you have any idea?
I might have some idea considering there's a percentage counter. I'll save my guesses until after it's revealed, though. I'll tell you if I was right.
Okay.
I promise I won't just say I'm right, regardless.
I trust you. But there's no joke, so...
Oh, that's true.
There's nothing to be scared about. Anyway, coming up here is Naburu Knuckle. This is a fight. Danny, what's to know?
So this fight is a little bit different from the other Iron Knuckles because there are not 2 phases. The armor falls off the other Iron Knuckles about halfway through. With this one, you just gotta hit her 10 times. So we'll be able to see the Iron Knuckle strat that I was lamenting I couldn't do without my shield, because now I have one. And it's pretty easy, says the streamer while hoping he does not fail it. Because, again, any damage at all sends me back to the beginning of the dungeon, which would be pretty terrible. But, it's not too hard, so let's do it. Cool. There's a nice little safe zone right underneath the axe if you stand, on top of an Iron Knuckles left foot, left from their perspective, where you can just sit there, and as long as you don't stab at a time where the axe is at rest, because if you do, you'll recoil off it, and then you'll go out of the safe zone. But if you just stab at the right time, you can just stay there for as long as you want. So Twinrova's coming up next, and in a glitchless run, Twinrova is a really big run killer because of how random it is, how much it can vary. A really good fight and a really bad fight can easily vary by as much as 40 seconds, which is definitely death to excuse me, death to any PB attempts that you're trying to do. Because in glitchless, it's a long run, so you might think that time losses aren't that intense, but I'm trying to play less than 3 minutes off of my sum of best splits across over 3.5 hours. And so 40 seconds just to one fight that isn't even due to a mistake is a lot. That's a ton. So it's you're always crossing your fingers here. Now what
sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
I was just going to say that I think Twinrova is really interesting, especially first phase, because it's an intended mechanic. It may look weird, but it is intended. If you hookshot towards the direction of one of the Twinrovas, they begin to spin in place, and Danny is going to utilize this to intentionally stall a Twinrova to keep it in an optimal position for him to reflect the other's magic at.
I just want to say I love the fact that you said a Twinrova to refer to. I fucking love that. Oh, excuse me.
Uh-oh.
Excuse me.
Ruh-roh. It's all good.
But yeah, here's what ADF was saying.
What would you call a singular Twinrova?
I'm aiming to the right here to stall just this one and not the other one.
Yeah, you can hit both if you aim too close, though once one of them starts charging, you can't stall it. So far, the luck is not that bad. Also, Danny sort of occasionally will run to another corner. He's watching the way they move to try to go into the exact opposite location. Because if you're too close to Twinrova's magic, they will actually shoot over your shield.
This should not be too close. This should be okay. Alright, there we go. That was actually decent luck. Takes 4 hits. We didn't get any doubles, though. So what you really want to happen here is for Twinrova to shoot from the same position twice or even 3 times in a row. So first phase I used the hookshot to keep one of them in place. But second phase is entirely different. I need the hookshot to make it move faster. Make her go to the next position faster so she can shoot me again sooner.
I did not know that.
Yep, saves 2 seconds per shot, actually. It's a lot.
Also, a fun fact is that once she shoots 2 of the same color, she will always shoot the third one the same. See, you're not mashing.
No, yeah, I was just timing them. You don't if you don't know the timing, mashing is perfectly acceptable. You won't mess it up as long as you're mashing as fast as you can. You mentioned that once she does 2, the third one is always the same. That's not true unless she hasn't taken damage, actually.
So it's only in the first.
Yeah, before she takes damage, the first 3 shots are always the same element. And then once you start to damage her, then it becomes random. So it's really important to get that one cycle. It's really easy to get the one cycle, but it's really important because if you miss it, then you're at the whims of whatever she decides to throw at you.
Apparently people in chat said Twin Rovum as a singular.
Ah, I like that. That's good.
Now they do have names, Kotake and Koume, but I don't know which one's which.
I don't know which one's which either. Excuse me, fiddling with my headphones. I have earbuds on underneath my headset so that I can use computer audio and game audio at the same time while also keeping them separate.
All right, only one more dungeon to go.
Yep, just Shadow left, and then we are off to Ganon's Castle.
And this is the Spirit Temple cutscene here is the shortest post-temple cutscene, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, this one is nice and short. Luckily, we don't have to sit here for too long. She just, tells you how handsome you are, and then she leaves. A little bit creepy, because she knew you when you were 10 years old.
Hey, Danny, are you willing to... Apparently, I can undeafen you, so if you want to deafen for a second so I can explain the joke one last time,
sure.
Then I can undeafen you.
I am deafened right now.
Okay, gamers. Hi. Hello. Just one more time, all right? There's only 18 minutes left on the joke percent timer. Here's the deal. We're trying to get Danny to 20,000 followers without telling him. And it's a joke. It's very funny. Haha, I'm laughing. And it just go to his channel and follow him. And if a funny haha LMAO joke, if we said, Danny, guess what? Look at your follower count, and it was suddenly like 900 higher than it was 20 minutes ago, wouldn't that be something? So just go to twitch.tv/DannyB and drop a follow. Okay, thanks. We're really close. Oh, I don't know. Can I undeafen him? Oh God. I don't know how to do this. I'm so inept at Discord. Railcoon, can you do this? I think we can only force deafen. We can't undeafen. Oh no. Oh no. Oh God, I've made a huge mistake.
Alright, I'm coming back just because it's been a while. Were you unable to undeafen me?
Turns out it's not possible to undeafen someone.
It happens.
I'm sorry about that. Oh, okay. So if I had server deafened you, I could have done it. So that's my bad.
Makes sense.
Thank you for someone who gifted me a sub. Now, Danny, tell us about the Shadow Temple.
So Shadow Temple is probably one of the scariest dungeons in the run, especially at low health. Because even when I have 6 hearts here, which is what I usually have in a glitchless run, you take a lot of damage on purpose just because it's faster than avoiding it. So I'll have to be real careful to actually avoid all that damage that I'm used to just taking. Because dying would be bad. Oh, that was too early. Quick 2 cycle there. So coming up right after this is the Truth Spinner, which is another one of the big RNG factors in this run. There are 5 skulls, 5 flaming skulls that you have to point the bird statue at. Only one of them is the real one, and it's random every time you enter the room. So you don't know which one it is before the run starts. And
I'm gonna guess first try. What's your guess?
I'm gonna guess first try as well, just because it's the most likely one. There are only 3 of the 5 that could ever actually be it. And of course, if you have Lens of Truth, you know which one is it. But I don't, so I have to guess. It can only ever be the back 3 skulls, so this first one and the last one, the one I'm looking at right now, can't be it. And they messed up the bucketing for the randomness here. They meant for it to be equal 1/3 probability for all 3 of these back skulls. But they resampled the random number every time. It turns out that it's a 4/9 chance, a 2/9 chance, and a 3/9 chance. So 4/9 is the most likely one, but why isn't he grabbing the thing? What the heck? That was weird. So this is the least likely one that I'm about to go to here. Yeah, third try. Third try is the worst possible you can get. It loses about 20 seconds. So if this was a real run, that would be a real killer. Not that this run is real, but you know.
Yes, this is a very unfortunate thing to come so late, because it is such a time loss if you get it late. But, you know, the one good thing is that with the spread as it is, it's likely that you, or at least somewhat likely, that your PB or your goal, you know, your average splits probably didn't get first try. And so, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world since it's such a targeted piece of luck, but it's still unbelievably annoying if your PB is first try and you get third.
Yeah, my PB does indeed have first try, so luckily though, my PB made some mistakes later on in Shadow Temple, so I can survive a third try Truth Spinner and probably still break even.
Are you playing against splits for low percent?
No. I'm talking about in any percent.
Oh, okay.
So this BMOS does damage. I'm going to try my best to stay close to the wall here to avoid that and avoid the explosion. Cool. There's also a cool trick you can do here. If you throw that Decanut in a relatively precise spot, you can stun all 3 of these Skulltulas at the same time and just run right through. It's pretty neat. Decanuts do work through walls. Alright, this is the room where if you fall, you lose a lot of time. I'm gonna do a blind jump here. Onto a tiny little sliver of land. Luckily there's a nice little analog setup that always works.
I've seen you fail it.
Yep. I haven't failed it. I started doing something new, which it's so much easier now. Alright, here's the big trick in Shadow Temple. It takes 35 seconds. We're going to skip pushing this block. And instead, we're going to side up onto this treasure chest with hover boots on.
Oh, this strat is so cool.
And then we have a 2-frame backflip window to get on top of the spikes and skip the whole room. Pretty hard, despite how quickly I just did it. Cool that I made it first try.
That is a really cool trick. Is your, I assume your movement when you enter the room also must be consistent.
Yeah, so of course the spikes go up and down, so you need to be fast enough to make that first cycle, otherwise you need to be careful that you might go at a time where the spikes are up. Also, consistent movement here makes sure that you arrive at the invisible platform exactly when it does. If you make a mistake, then you have to rely on pointing your hookshot red dot at it, and you can kind of tell where it is based on the red dot's movement. Luckily, I didn't have to do that, though. And this is all just knowing where stuff is.
I don't want to alarm anyone, but we are dangerously close to laughing very hard at a very funny joke. And there's only 10 minutes left on the joke that doesn't exist.
So normally I would not have to kill these keys in this room. I would have set Pharaoh's Wind in the previous room, and as soon as I got this key, I would just warp back. But of course, no Pharaoh's Wind, so we gotta kill them all. Very interesting here. Oh my god, is this really happening? What the heck?
That is amazing.
Oops, nice bonk. So I mentioned earlier that bomb chews are pretty useful in Shadow Temple. Bomb chews are useful, mostly just because they explode faster than bombs if you explode them midair or use Decanuts to explode them right away.
Yep. Oh, did it really?
I assume that means the joke has been completed.
Hey, Danny, you should look at your follower count on Twitch.
I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. Dude, holy cow. Guys, thank you so much. That means so much to me.
You went to the bathroom and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Danny had 20,000 followers?
That's a big milestone. I haven't hit a milestone like that in a very long time. Guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. And I hope you guys are enjoying the run.
Oh, let's go. I'm so proud of all of you.
Well done.
I don't. Did you laugh? Is it funny?
I'm hysterical laughing on the inside.
Okay, he's laughing.
On the outside.
I don't really have anything to give you, Twitch chat. I'm sorry, but I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. Thanks for participating in the funniest joke.
Well done.
Yeah, joke's on you, Danny. You've been pranked. Haha.
Dang. I don't know how I'll ever live.
Imagine getting pranked this hard.
There we go. Got the shot. So getting this shot on the boat is cool because the boat keeps riding during this cutscene, and you can make it all the way to the end of the line. It's a nice little
really
overlap.
Cool.
Yep.
That's great.
All right, we're getting close to the end here. So Bongo Bongo is the boss of Shadow Temple. It's very nice to have a shield for it because it's a really tough fight without one.
Tell an actual joke. Okay.
All right, you're the comedy man, so that's got to be on you.
Oh, God. Why did the Cucko cross the gate to Gerudo Valley?
Why?
Because Danny did a 2-frame and then a 3-frame input.
Dude, I'm crying on the inside as well. Same as the last time. That was a good joke.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You guys know that on Adef's channel, if you spend 10,000 channel points, he'll do a comedic monologue out of nowhere?
That might be true. But the joke's not about my channel, Danny.
That's okay. I'm just saying, you know, if you want to force Adef to do a monologue, just get 10,000 points. I'm sitting on 20,000 points, so I can do it twice in one stream.
Are you really?
Yeah. All right, I gotta pick up some arrows. I'm already full on magic, so that's good. Oh, that was, I need the arrows, right?
You know it's real because I paid people in New York City to tell me how to be funny.
All right, so I am actually going to mute my game audio, and I'm going to turn on a metronome, which I don't think you guys will be able to hear, but I'm going to listen to it. I need to crouch stab this boss at a very particular rhythm, 150 beats per minute, and if I get enough stabs in at the proper rhythm, I will one cycle him. So I will talk to you guys in a moment. All right, did the thing. That's good. Dying to Bongo was a pretty big fear of mine because he basically one-hits you on any attack he can do. When you're at 3 hearts, that is. And, you know, dying is terrible because this is the furthest boss from the beginning of the dungeon. It would take me a long time to get back here. So, not dying there is a very good thing. All right, and that's it. That's all the dungeons. We now have Spirit and Shadow medallions, which are the requirements necessary for spawning the light arrow cutscene in Temple of Time. So we're gonna go get some light arrows, and we're gonna hang out for a few minutes because it's a long cutscene. I think we have some stuff planned for that cutscene.
Yeah, we will. So we will, just like we did with the Master Sword cutscene and the Water Temple cutscene, we will take a little ad break during the Light Arrow cutscene because it's several minutes long and it's just a bunch of text. And so in that time, we will use that to stand up, walk around, stretch our legs, and play some ads so that we can be ad-free into the end of the game, into Ganon's castle. So that's not for a second here until Danny, I believe, plays Prelude.
Yep.
But yeah, something that I guess I should say before we head to that break is just that thank you everybody for participating in the joke.
Yes, thank you. That's really awesome.
It's very, very, it's funny, but also it's cool. And you know, this show largely is meant to just be like supporting cool runners that do cool stuff. So I'm glad that that can happen during the show. Also, AGDQ 2021 is in a few days. Sunday Gamers AGDQ 2021 online. Do not miss it. It's going to be huge. You can check the schedule and more information regarding the event at gamesdonquick.com. Make sure to tune in the coming week. It's 6 days of nonstop speedrunning action, and we will be raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, a great cause. So do not miss that. Hey, Danny, do you know the name of this guy?
Roru.
Okay, good job.
Also known as Kepora Gebora, the owl. I think Nintendo confirmed in Hyrule Story that they're the same person.
That would make sense. It's kind of like King of Red Lions v. King of Hyrule.
Yeah.
Similar vibe. Anyway, we're going to cut to a break here. Stretch your legs, grab some water, and we'll see you back in just a few minutes. Hello, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hot Fix. My name is Adef, and this is Challenger Approaching, a show where we watch challenge runs from the runners who perform them. Welcome back. You've just missed the Light Arrow cutscene. You didn't miss anything important, just a bunch of text boxes. But we're back to the end of the run. Danny B is showing us Ocarina of Time Glitchless low percent. Really quick, though. Just want to say a few things. First of all, we're taking a break from hotfix content starting tomorrow. So this is the last hotfix show so that our team can prepare for AGDQ 2021 online, which starts on Sunday. But we'll be back on January 11th with more hotfix content. If you're interested in learning about all of our hotfix weekly shows, including this one, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix, find out more. And if you're watching on YouTube and want to support our live content, Speaking is Hard, please consider checking out our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/GDQ. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to any Twitch channel of your choice every month for free. Please consider using your Prime Gaming account to support the weekly GDQ hotfix content. It helps us put on more fun shows like this one. So if you enjoy what you saw tonight, consider supporting Games Done Quick. Danny, talk us through this run, what's going on, and what we have to look forward to the end.
Sure. So we got just the last bit. We're coming up on Ganon's Castle right now. This is a glitchless low percent speedrun of Ocarina of Time. So we're trying to complete the game as fast as possible without glitches, and while also minimizing the number of items we collect as a special extra challenge. So normally we collect a bunch of items in Glitchless that may or may not, that may be faster, but not necessarily required. Anything like that is forcibly skipped in this category. That's what the low percent part of the name means. So we have successfully skipped everything that we needed to skip now that we're at the end. We skipped all the heart containers. We only have 3 hearts, if you notice. We skipped Pharaoh's Wind, Hylian Shield, Bolero of Fire, and Requiem of Spirit, and now we're at the end of the game. And we gotta get through Ganon's Castle. Trials are actually one of my favorite parts of the game. It's super cool stuff. Trials is what we call these, you know, putting the barrier down in Ganon's Castle by going through all these little miniature dungeon rooms. They're pretty hard, they're pretty flashy, and hopefully nothing terrible happens. We got one interesting problem here. We don't have the Goron Tunic, and we only have 3 hearts, which means that Fire Trial is going to be on a very limited timer. So we're going to need one last fairy before we go into Fire Trial, just like we did in Fire Temple.
And there are a few restrictions on the order in which you have to do the trials, only because the golden gauntlets are required to access the light trial and are required to complete the fire trial. Now, you could get the golden gauntlets and leave the shadow trial if you wanted to. Yeah, that's the only like hard requirement.
And in the other version of Glitchless Unrestricted, where more things are allowed, damage boosts are allowed, and it's possible to skip this entirely because there's a wall connected to the central column of this area that automatically triggers you to go directly into the center tower. It is, in fact, that wall right there. If you touch that wall from high enough up, you will just go right into the center tower and skip trials entirely. And you can do it with a damage boost, so it's possible in unrestricted Glitchless. And that means that you can skip 2 more items for low percent golden gauntlets, which are only required for light trial, and the bomb shoes, which are only required for spirit trial. So we're gonna have to get both of those things in this run. And honestly, I prefer doing trials anyway, because I think it's a really cool part of the run to show off. So we're gonna pick up a very convenient... never mind. We're gonna pick up a very convenient fairy later on. Ice physics exists and is a thing to watch out for.
There's a skip here that Danny's going to be doing, jumping in a clever way off this block, like so, skipping on over.
And that's another instance of hitting something behind a wall that isn't necessarily intended. But because there are situations like that that are absolutely intended and there's no difference between them, it's perfectly acceptable to do it, even when you're meant to bypass the barrier. And we're going to see an example of an intended one just coming up in like 2 minutes in Spirit Trial. There's this crystal switch right behind a wall, and you absolutely need to hit it through the wall. And it's the same exact thing. So you can do it in places where they didn't mean for you to, and it's not a glitch. So I am going to pick up a backup fairy over here.
Are you going to go into the scrub room?
Yes, sir. A little bit slower, but it's okay.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, Danny will be doing Shadow Trial prior to the others. He's already kind of just doing a loop around the room. You know, not visiting any doors twice, basically.
Yeah, it's nice and it works out nicely that just going counterclockwise around the room is already the fastest way.
So here, Danny is going to hit the switch, and then... Oh, you have long shot. Never mind. For a second, I was like, you have to do a hard thing, but you don't. Can you even do that without hookshot extension?
I think you can do it with ISG if you stand like right on the corner of the ledge.
So it's not possible in Glitchless anyway.
No.
Not that you would ever need it, because you have to get the long shot anyway. But, you know.
No way around it. All right, now refill my magic a little bit here.
Hookshotting that torch is genius.
So if coming up, it's Fire Trial. We're going to use that fairy we just got and hopefully make it through in the time limit. We're going to have 6 hearts plus the time it takes for the heat text explaining the timer to go away. So it should be plenty of time, as long as I don't make any big mistakes like voiding out in the lava, then we should be fine. I will just save the game real quick, and I'll also do this, since I need to do an equip anyway.
There's a question in chat. What's the world record for this category? You're watching it.
Yeah, this category doesn't really ever get run. It's not a very common challenge, which is all the more reason why I wanted to do it for you guys.
Whatever time this is about to be is gonna be the world record. Isn't that exciting?
I'm gonna have to look back and see when the last time anybody ran this was, but I think it was too long ago to possibly compete. All right,
Yeah, no, you're using too many modern strats, I feel.
Slash this to get rid of the flames. All right, plenty of time to spare. We're out of there. So the fact that nobody runs this means there actually isn't a leaderboard. But I'm thinking maybe we have a category extensions leaderboard for Ocarina of Time. So there's speedrun.com/OOT, and there's speedrun.com/OOT extras, and the extras leaderboard being for all those like smaller challenge fun categories that we don't take super seriously but are really cool nonetheless, and enough people have done them to warrant a leaderboard. Might see if we can get an extensions leaderboard for glitchless low percent. Maybe just put it as a subcategory under the low percent category that already exists. Since low percent is already kind of dead, since it's the same as any percent nowadays. All right, so the hard trials are over. Pretty much just a straight shot from here to the end of the trials. Then we're gonna have a little bit of RNG with some enemies up the tower. We got some Dinalphos and a Stalfos fight, and then we got the dreaded double knuckles, two iron knuckles at the same time. I'm gonna be trying my best to face them at the same time and keep them in sync so I can kill them together. We'll see it when we get there.
Nice backflip. That was swell.
Yeah, it's a cool one. Gotta be careful to not get underneath the chest, though, because you'll void out if you're underneath the chest when it falls down. In fact, there's a really funny clip of an OOT runner that was weird. Who went and voided out underneath that chest at the same time as he pressed A, and the A button actually went through to open the chest, but he voided out at the same time. And turns out you only get the key later on in the opening animation. So he respawned in the room and the chest was open and he did not have the key.
That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, yeah. All right, just one trial left. It's Spirit Trial. This is going to be our one and only required use of a bomb shoe in the run. If it was not for Spirit Trial, we'd be able to skip bomb shoes entirely. And it's the one intended require use of fire arrows, but we don't have those, so we'll see how that's going to work out.
Oh gosh, I hope it works out.
Me too.
What if you came all this way and you can't finish?
So there's a little hole in the ceiling there for the bomb shoe to go through. Pick up some magic. Thing explodes over there. Here's the switch that you're supposed to hit through the wall to spawn a chest. That chest has bomb shoes in it, which is why you're supposed to hit it through the wall for sure. And here's the fire arrows that you totally don't need. Just barely make that shot.
That feels like too good to be unintended, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it almost feels like they put it there on purpose for like somebody who was looking out to be like, oh my gosh, that's possible.
Right.
Because it would be so easy to just lower the ceiling, you know? Like, they put torches there for what reason?
Wouldn't that, in casual play, wouldn't that be the only quote-unquote required fire arrow use in the game?
As far as I know, yes.
So then maybe this is for people who just, like, didn't think to shoot the sun?
Yeah, maybe. Alright, trials are done. Time to move on to Ganon's Castle. Or inside of Ganon's Castle, anyway. Let's see, what pace are we on here? Looks like we're 346 right now. Seems like sub 4 is doable. That'd be cool. So if you turn your back to these guys, they're more likely to approach you. They're got pretty bad luck there, and they're kind of super annoying to deal with.
The half-second hesitation to grab the heart or not.
Yeah, I figure a one-hit kill to Iron Knuckles either way, and a two-hit kill to Stalfos either way, so getting the heart doesn't really matter.
Right.
Oops.
Those are the kinds of decisions that people start making once you're at a higher level of play like this. You're just like quickly making like 5 decisions like that. I mean, Danny instantly assessed whether he needed the heart or not based on the 2 following enemies. Big brain stuff.
With the shield. Don't have to wait around for them to put their shield down so much. Alright, so double Knuckles. I'm going to try my best here to fight them at the same time. See how that works out. Got him.
Very nice. Yeah, there are several people in the chat that have been answering a lot of questions throughout tonight, so thank you to all of you.
Yeah, I see you guys. Most of those guys are from my stream. They watch a lot of Glitchless. Thank you guys for helping out and helping people understand the category we all like to play.
Yeah, and thank you to the mod team as well for being so on top of things tonight. Really appreciate that.
Alright, Ganondorf, the big bad. He has 40 health, which means that with my 4 attack power stabs, it's going to take 10 stabs. There are 2 frames for each stab to keep him stun locked if I want to do it in 1 cycle. I'm going to be using the bottle to reflect the energy ball because it makes it super easy. You have a super huge frame window to reflect it with the bottle. And the first 4 stabs come free, and then the remaining 6 need to be the 2 frame timing to keep him stun locked. So hopefully I get this 1 cycle. I have enough magic to sustain myself if I need to shoot an extra light arrow. So 2 cycle wouldn't be too bad, but hopefully we get it just for fun.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Someone's asking, what's my PB for this category? I don't have one. This is my first ever full run-through of Glitchless Low Percent. I've been routing it and did a couple practice runs on a version of the game with no cutscenes, just to get enough practice in. But this is my first legit run-through of the route. And someone asked why you have to get a bottle. You need to show Ruto's letter to King Zora to move him out of the way to access Zora's fountain. So you need that bottle back in the beginning. And then you also need a bottle for holding blue fire in Ice Cavern. Alright, time for the steps. Let's see if it works out. Hey, alright, we did it. Cool stuff.
Very nice. Fun fact, because we are on the 1.2 version of the game, Ganondorf will cough up green blood here. But on 1.0, and I think 1.1 as well, it's red. One of the various changes they made to try to make the game more family-friendly as they ported it, or as they patched things into 1.2. And there are 1.2 cartridges on N64, so that's a fix you can see on the N64.
Speaking of N64, worth bringing up again, the reason I'm not playing on N64 and I'm playing on Wii Virtual Console is saving time just due to lag. It's literally the only reason. The N64 lags quite a lot, and it lags a ton here in particular at the end of the game in the tower collapse sequence, in the cutscene towards the end where the tower is actually collapsing, and in the Ganon fight. I think Virtual Console saves upwards of a minute to lag alone in just the end game, just right here onto the end. It's that severe.
There's a lot of lag on the Ganondorf fight as well. In N64, when you shoot the light arrows, you have to look away from him.
And it even lags a lot here on VC. Like, you'll be able to see, while we're up near Ganondorf's dead body here, it lags a ton, and as we go down this first spiral, the lag will start to dissipate. Look at that, so slow. And now it speeds up again. I'm gonna hold a light arrow here. Hopefully I don't get hit by a rock. Cool. Shooting a light arrow prevents Zelda's purple magic from appearing right here, and that lags a little bit more, so it saves like 3 frames in lag.
It also serves the dual purpose of when you are aiming away in some of those laggier areas, you don't have as many polygons in frame, and so the game is less laggy in general that way.
Yeah, for sure. Only on that upper part of Collapse where Ganondorf's dead body is, though. Once you get that out of the way, there's no more lag. On Virtual Console, anyway. So we got one more thing standing in the way between us and Ganon, the Tower Stalfos. One more final source of luck before the end of the run. Actually, I lied. There's another source of luck before the end of the run, after Stalfos and before Ganon. And that is, funnily enough, the Collapse cutscene, the Tower Collapse cutscene, can vary by as much as like 5 seconds due to lag.
Are you serious?
Yep.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Decent Stalfos. And back when any percent used to fight Ganon and used to do the Tower Collapse sequence, that was like a real source of anxiety for the runners, because they would have a good run that was maybe like a half a second ahead, and they need good cutscene RNG, as silly as that phrase sounds. It's because like all the different like particles and the exploding rocks and stuff are all based on randomness, and it just depends on how many of them end up on screen at one time. Mash rolls to not raise the suspicions of redeads, actually. Also, hold on one second. There's Zelda. Oh, wait. There's like a thing you can do where Zelda is in 2 places at once. I don't remember how it goes, but... Oh, you have to like fly over the boundary. If you fly over the boundary, Zelda is in 2 places at once right there. It's pretty cool.
That's a glitch, Danny.
Yeah, look, okay, I'm just trying to show off cool stuff before the end of the run.
Also, no kiss?
That's true, I missed the kiss, so the run isn't even valid anymore. You gotta kiss Zelda at the end. This is the cutscene that's all the RNG.
So interesting. I mean, it makes sense, like, you know, obviously nothing is pre-rendered, because that was not a thing that you did back in these days.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning, actually. All the cutscenes in this game are live action. They're really happening in the game engine. It's not like a movie or anything. They just remove player control and just script it all.
Yeah, they didn't use FMVs on the N64.
But they did on the GameCube. The credits movie in particular is a movie file on the GameCube version of this game. And that is the secret behind any percent, because you can just trick the emulator into playing the movie file. It's pretty cool stuff.
This is the big brain stuff that OOT scientists are doing.
All right, so Ganon is a pretty easy boss, to be honest. I am a one-hit kill to him, so I'll have to be a little bit careful. At the beginning of the fight here, before I lose my Master Sword, I'm going to do a Jump Slash, and that'll store Master Sword type damage to my Power Crouch stab. It turns out that not only does stabbing retain the damage value of the last attack you did, but also the damage type. So now my Crouch stabs will do Master Sword jump slash attacks. And the hammer is something that I can stab with. So even though I'm using the hammer, it'll still be Master Sword type damage. And so it will allow me to get through the first phase of Ganon faster. Because a lot of people don't know this, the Master Sword is the only weapon, aside from Deca Sticks, which you're not supposed to be able to use anyway, which actually retain their normal ability to do damage to Ganon. Every single thing else, including the Bigoron Sword, does exactly 1 damage to him no matter what attack you do. And no, it's not a glitch, because power crouch stabbing is something that happens on every single stab, actually. There's no such thing as a stab in this game that isn't a power crouch stab. And so I actually will amend my statement. It is definitely a glitch, but it is not something that you can ban in a glitchless run without literally just banning the act of stabbing. Because they all work the same. So, because it's just the way stabbing works, and the only way to not do it is to not stab, we allow it, and it's better to just treat it as a game mechanic. And a lot of you are probably rolling your eyes at that, but that's just kind of how it is. That's just one of those things where it's part of the game, whether it was meant to be or not, and we kind of just have to take it as it is. Because banning a valid means of attacking is even sillier.
Get ready on the timer, by the way. The time will be when Danny does the final slash on Ganon's head after Zelda pours yellow light into his face.
Yep, we got about 15 seconds left.
It's gonna be sub 4, Danny.
It is sub 4, I'm happy. A little bit better than my practice run yesterday, too. And there it is. Oh, there it is.
The classic. The absolute classic. GG, Danny.
We got there. Glitchless low percent, 358.04. Not bad. That was a fun run. Thank you guys for hanging out. A lot of you guys have stayed the entire time. That's really cool.
Seen a lot of faces that have been here the whole time. That's awesome. Well, again, thank you to Danny B for coming on Challenger Approaching, just our 2nd episode, and putting on such a show for all of us. Please, if you haven't already, if you didn't do it for the joke earlier, do follow Danny B on Twitch. Definitely worth your while. A great Ocarina of Time speedrunner and a great speedrunner in general. Twitch.tv/DannyB. Danny, any parting words about Ocarina of Time or this run, or something you're looking forward to doing soon?
Well, I am currently working on Glitchless any percent. As I've mentioned, I just took the world record in that a couple days ago. I'm looking to improve it even further, so it's an exciting time for my stream. I just want to shout out the OOT community for being awesome and helping everybody to get involved. If you want to speedrun OOT, you should definitely join the Ocarina of Time speedrunning Discord, which you can find on our speedrun.com page, and we will get you up and running as fast as we can. People go from 0 to hero real fast nowadays because we just have so many knowledgeable people and people willing to help. So yeah, if you like the way this looks and you think you might want to do it yourself, then hop on Discord. We'll help you out.
Yeah. Again, thank you to Danny. We're gonna do some ads here. A few parting words really quickly. First of all, this is the last hotfix show before AGDQ. So there's no hotfix shows tomorrow in prep for AGDQ to give our team some time to get all the tech and everything going. It's a big affair to do it online, but AGDQ 2021 online is in a few days. January 3rd at noon Eastern is the first run, and then it's a week-long marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. I'm running Mario 35 on Saturday night, me, Adef. I'm doing that. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to support the live content, please consider checking out our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/GDQ. If you got Amazon Prime, sub here. Help support the hotfix shows. Keeps these shows running, do more cool stuff. That's all the stuff, I think. I've been Adef. You can find me at twitch.tv/Adef. I do Zelda speedruns as well. Happy New Year to all of you. And we're going to cut to some ads here, and then we're going to do a raid. So don't go anywhere. We're going to play a few ads, and then we're going to raid someone, and it is super secret, but it's going to be a really fun stream. So stick around for the raid, and thank you, everybody, for watching.